Hello everyone, and welcome to Testing Grounds, a show about new games. We love to show off games that have been recently released in the last 3 months here on the show. Today we're starting off with Pokemon Isle of Armor DLC, and then we're going to be having SpongeBob, not Pokemon again, we're going to be having SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated after that. A couple quick announcements as she is setting up over here. We have Runners Wanted tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in some games that have some growing communities, that's going to be tomorrow. You can join them for yourselves too at 2 p.m. Eastern. SGDQ 2020 Online is starting August 16th, so that's just over a week away. You can go to gamesdonequick.com for more info on the event, and stay tuned next weekend for an exciting week of speedruns, and we're going to be seeing Isle of Armor DLC here today, but we're also going to be seeing Pokemon Sword and Shield as the finale for SGDQ 2020 Online, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And if you're interested in learning about any of the Hotfix shows, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix for info about the shows, and even ways to submit your own ideas or runs for the different shows. So right now I am joined with someone who is a friend of mine and also a volunteer for main events, obviously not the online one, but he was a camera ops volunteer. It is C Average. How are you doing, C?
I'm good. How are you, Richard?
Not bad, not bad. And also joined with C is actually the finale for SGDQ 2020, Etiquette. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, so I'm going to throw it over to C to give a little bit of an explanation about the run.
All right, yeah, sure. So before we start, we have to set our time and date because it's a Pokemon game. So that's a thing you have to do to try and manipulate the RNG. I believe specifically for the Sobble pickup at the beginning. Etiquette will know more about that than I do, but we'll go ahead and set that and launch the game. So time doesn't start just yet. We get to create our character first, and then after that we'll actually start the run. So
you set your time and date to be pretty late, huh?
Yeah.
That's after SGDQ ends.
That's true. All right. When you're ready, Richard, I will tell you for time.
Yep.
Three,
give me a countdown.
2, 1, go. All right, so now we're doing the run. So first we have this big like cutscene sequence at the beginning where I have to mash through a bunch of text boxes, and then we can actually get into some interesting stuff. So, Etiquette, do you have any information on why we choose the time that we just chose?
I do, yeah. So typically pre-Generation 6, so from Gens, basically Gens 4 and 5, when you set a specific time, it's usually for RNG manipulation. It's actually not for RNG manipulation in this game, but it is to manipulate something specific. So the date that we choose actually does two different things. It will influence the weather that we're going to get in the wild area. So the wild area is a new feature introduced in Generation 8. That's this big open world area with a bunch of different regions, and each region can have its own weather. So the date will influence what weather is going to appear in specific regions. We set the time to be what we did because we actually want it to roll over past midnight while we're doing the run before we get to the wild area. We're going to get to the wild area around like the 30-minute mark. So as long as the next day has started, after that time, then the rest of that section is going to work out perfectly. It's going to roll onto the correct day, so that way we get rainy weather in the rolling fields, which is going to be helpful for one fight there. And the reason why we need it to actually roll to the second day at all is because there are various people throughout the wild area called Watt Traders, and the Watt Trader inventories are going to change from day to day. They aren't specific to dates, so it's not like October 19th is always going to have the same Watt Trader inventory. They're actually specific to how many days have you played the game for. So starting on day 1, rolling over to day 2, he's always going to have the same inventory, and specifically the Watt Trader near the second town, or the second town in the wild area, Motostoke, is going to have quick balls.
All right, cool. Yeah, so Etiquette knows a lot more about this game than I do because Etiquette runs the full game, and I started with just this DLC run. So for a lot of the technical stuff like that, Etiquette will be the person that gets to explain it because I don't really know it. So anyway,
what made you run this?
So I started running this because I was trying to breed shiny Pokemon for my casual file and decided that the fastest way to do that was to, instead of breeding, just speedrun the DLC to get the legendary at the end and then trade that for whatever shiny I wanted on global trade. So that's why I'm here, because I want shinies. All right, so now we're going to set some settings. And there we go. That was kind of slow, but I wanted to make sure I got the right ones. All right. But yeah, I specifically wanted the Palo Sand or Sandygast, a shiny Sandygast, and it just wasn't cooperating. So here I am. The character that we choose, as far as I'm aware, doesn't really matter. So I just picked this one because I like using this one.
Yep.
Cool. Great. Good thing I was not wrong.
No, yeah. Sometimes the character does matter. It'll either influence certain events that happen in the game. Like, for example, in Generation 7, if you pick the boy, or if you pick the girl specifically, you actually get given a makeup case at one point, which is like a 5-second like little text box and jingle, and you don't get that if you're the boy. So it like that's really all it matters for that one. Sometimes it does influence fights, and then some cases like this one, it just doesn't matter, so it's really personal preference. One of the nice things about this one is you actually choose the character model before you hit like go and before the time starts, so you don't even lose like the 3 frames or whatever it is to switch over to the character you want. You can just pick it without worrying.
So we'll play a little bit of the base game before we unlock the DLC, and then we'll just head that way. For anyone that has played the Isle of Armor, chances are when you got there, everything was a decently high level. We will not have that problem because I believe what causes that is it becoming champion is what triggers the jump from level 30 Pokemon to level 60 Etiquette. I know you had figured out what it was.
Yeah, it's actually the legendary catch right before becoming champion. If you if you go into the Isle of Armor before that, everything is like level 10 to 30. And if you go in after that point, everything is between 60 and 70. So it's very big jump.
Yeah. So we will definitely be going in the 10 to 30 range, because we'll just go to the DLC area as soon as we have it available to us. Fun fact, I just learned while setting up for this that I've been doing all my text boxes slower than I could have because I wasn't holding any buttons down. I was just mashing. So free time save right here.
Yeah, even though there's an option to do your text like either slow, medium, or fast, even if you pick fast, there's a quote-unquote faster option, which is just also hold down a button while it's generating on the screen. I don't know if it used to be twice as fast if you do that. I don't think it's twice as fast anymore, but it definitely does still speed things up.
All right. Good news, we're about to actually get a Pokemon and do the Pokemon thing. So the first Pokemon we're going to grab is Sobble, and that's actually going to be one of the only Pokemon we use throughout the entire run. But
yeah, Sobble is honestly the best of the 3 starters when it comes to doing things quickly. It's a very fast Pokemon. It has very high special attack stat, and it has a move set that really complements its special attack. Water's a very good offensive type. It's a pretty good defensive type as well. So overall, it's just really good. Scorbunny could be up there. The problem with Scorbunny is it doesn't really get any good moves that complement its high attack stat. The first move it gets is Ember, which is a special attack. So right off the bat, you're already lacking behind the Sobble.
Poor Grookey.
And yeah, and Grookey's just there.
Oh, I did not save before picking up the Sobble. It's fine. It'll be fine. Nothing wrong ever happens during a marathon.
Definitely not. Yeah, the stats that you're looking for aren't too restrictive, at least.
Yeah.
You basically want one that's not bottom tier.
I even had in my notes to save. Oh well. Turns out I don't use my notes as much as I used to.
Which shows your expertise in the game.
Right. I've gotten a lot better. I've wanted a lot more shinies and have gotten a lot better at the run.
Yeah, so this is Hop. He's our rival. We're not going to see him as much as you will in like a full game speedrun, but we do have to still fight him twice. This fight here is very easy. It's basically just attack and you win. But it is going to give us the first look at our stats, which some of them aren't really going to matter for the run, but some of them are going to be kind of important. So
Ooh, that's not ideal. It'll probably be fine.
I haven't seen yet. Let me see.
You know, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, not amazing, but also not necessarily the worst.
Yeah. So what I was looking for was special attack of 14 would have been great. 13 will probably be fine. There, now we're at 14. Problem solved.
Yeah, so anyone who knows things about Pokemon and like stats and everything knows what IVs are. Basically, they're a number between 0 and 31 that indicate how good a specific stat is. 31 IVs are obviously ideal, 0 IVs are not. This Sobble right now is looking like it's probably minus attack nature or minus special attack nature, which means its special attack is going to grow about 90% as fast as it normally would. But it seems to be a very high IV, so somewhere in the upper 20s. So while it's not very good, it's at least not the worst.
We're gonna run with it anyway, because I forgot to save, so it's fine. So now we're gonna run through the woods and run away from some Pokemon before we get started on our grand adventure. All right, Richard, I have a question for you.
Yes. See.
What is your favorite Pokemon?
What is my favorite Pokemon? It's Dragonair.
Ooh,
That's a good choice.
interesting.
I made a Dragonair Perler as well.
Nice.
So cool. I haven't made a Perler of another Pokemon, so
Well, there you go.
it's just nice and slick, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, and you don't get many people. At least I've never met many people that like not fully evolved or like first stage of a Pokemon.
Dratini
is their
looks
favorite.
great. Dragonite, I don't think looks as nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I like it.
Yeah. What about you, Etiquette? Do you have a favorite?
I do. My favorite is Frostlass.
Oh,
Yep.
interesting.
Ice Ghost type Generation
Yeah.
4. What about you,
Cool.
C?
So my favorite is Aurorus. Nice little dinosaur Pokemon. But I've never actually played a game where Aurorus was in the game. It's just like one of my favorites anyway. But I've also always had like a soft spot in my heart for the entire Ghastly line, because they're just pretty great too.
But your name is C Average. Shouldn't you have like a preference towards water?
I mean, sure, I like Squirtle a lot. I mean, all right. So this is Sword Dog. I don't remember what its actual name is. It's just Sword Dog. We're gonna try to fight it, and it's gonna say no, and that's fine. We're just gonna eventually pass out because of all the fog. But we have to smash through this and keep trying to attack it. Zamazenta, that might be its name. That might be the shield dog. I don't know.
That's the shield one. This one is Zacian.
Oh, there we go. See, this is why Etiquette is here. Etiquette knows all the Pokemon things.
So, see, I have a question for you about, maybe why you picked this game beyond, the fact that it's helpful for shinies. But
Sure.
this is very different from, other games that you've run. You've run, games like Master Spy and Ori where things are a lot faster paced.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about running a game like Pokemon?
Yeah, so it was definitely way different at first because I'd never run anything that was like at all like typical RPG like this. But it's kind of nice. Like the way I look at it, a lot of runs, like I just do them and I don't worry about like resets or anything like that because like the RNG is going to change every run. So you'll have some runs where you're like way behind at the beginning, but you've had terrible RNG at the end before, so it doesn't really matter. And like vice versa. Oh, let's get hung up on everything here. So I don't know. It's been kind of nice. It's kind of a relaxing change of pace because, like you said, a lot of the runs that I've done, like Ori and Master Spy, have been really fast paced and like, white knuckle going crazy the entire time, and this is just kind of nice and relaxing. You just play some Pokemon, listen to some music, so it's nice. I enjoy it.
Yeah, Pokemon is pretty much the only series that I've done very well at, personally. And for me, especially lately, I've gotten more into the routing side of things. Like I still do runs and I still, have leaderboard times and everything, but I really enjoy the routing part a lot more. It's basically a giant math problem. And it's just super fun. Like and in addition, like the Pokemon community in general over the last like year and a half has sort of transitioned into categories like this that aren't really main categories. Like this isn't on our main leaderboards or anything. This one actually kind of has a case to be on there, but isn't there yet. But we have the category extension boards where, somebody has a cool idea for a run. It may not satisfy like the normal quote unquote requirements that we have for main categories, but it's still fun. It's still a valuable run. And a lot of those have been really cool routing experiences. So
Yeah.
That's really what draws me to Pokemon.
So I just caught a chunky squirrel there, Squilvet, because so basically while you're running through there, you want to catch either a Wooloo or a Squilvet to just get some additional XP on your Sobble. So I'm gonna end up just dumping it in the bank here in a second. Really would have liked to have seen a Wooloo instead because it's better XP, but it'll work just fine.
Yeah, another nice thing this game actually did that previous games never did is because you've caught something before the point where the game was going to give you a catching tutorial, it's actually going to allow you to skip it. If you didn't catch that Pokemon, you would have to sit through the catch tutorial. It's like maybe a 5-second difference between watching the catch tutorial and catching a Pokemon. But because of the extra experience you get, it just makes it worth it to do that first thing.
So this is Sonya. We'll see her a couple more times. She talks to us sometimes. That's more important. She has an adorable dog.
She does.
Now we're gonna run over here to the right real quick and grab a rare candy that we're gonna hold on to for almost the entirety of the run before finally giving it to a Pokemon. And then continue on.
Yeah, one thing you'll see in the main game, if you guys stick around in 2 weeks for SGDQ, where the main, full game is going to be run, the game doesn't have a ton of rare candies strewn about. Like usually you can find anywhere from 7 to 10 rare candies just by doing your normal playthrough. But in this game in particular, there's only like 3 or 4 that are readily available, and some more that are available but either too late or just far enough out of the way that they don't save enough time to get. So having one rare candy right at the beginning of the game is actually really nice.
So now we're going to get given a bunch of Pokeballs that we're never going to use. We don't really catch many things in this run. We catch the Wooloo or the Squavette at the beginning. And then we will catch exactly one more Pokemon. And we use a Quick Ball for that. So those 20 Pokeballs are just going to sit in our backpack, slow us down, because Pokeballs are probably heavy. I don't know. We're going to play some Dodge the Pokemon for a little bit.
Imagine if they did actually weigh you down, though. Then you'd have to time manage.
Dump them.
If you get them any, you'd have to dump them.
So, here's our first non-hop battle.
Yeah, the game has a little bit of a slow start. Even, we got to play through the first about half hour of it normally in order to get to the DLC. But even in the main full game run, you don't beat the first gym until about an hour in. But once you get going, it sort of ramps up in pace. So it may seem kind of slow that it's almost 20 minutes in and we are fighting our second trainer, but it definitely picks up.
Yeah. It is kind of weird how, much more there is, at the tail end of the game. It picks up quite a bit. Alright, so there's the first battle out of the way. And luckily, even though it took us an extra turn, it looked like, because of our lower special attack than what we wanted, it did not attack us, with a damaging move for 2 of the turns, so we have plenty of HP, so, this will likely not be that scary, whereas this could have been scary if it would have dealt decent damage to us.
This fight here is actually a little bit annoying for Sobble. The Blipbug only has one move, which is Struggle Bug. Struggle Bug always lowers your special attack. So now your main attacking stat has been lowered going into the second Pokemon, the Nickit. And this Pokemon has a very high special defense stat. So you're going to see, even though you have this high-powered Sobble, you're not doing that much damage. This is going to be a 4-shot, so... it's definitely a bit of a struggle. There is always the possibility, if you do take a lot of damage on that Squavit fight, that you'll get knocked down into what's called Torrent. Torrent being Sobble's ability, where if you're under 1/3 health, your water moves do 50% more damage. And if you get lucky with Torrent, you can save some time, but it's usually pretty rare to have that happen.
Yeah. So now we got a little more talking to do. And that it's nice to get through that fight. I've definitely like come really close to dying to that Nickit before, just because of the Guavet fight before that. But luckily, quick attack really doesn't do much damage, so it's not too scary of a fight. We're gonna talk about Dynamaxing and Gym Challenge and a bunch of stuff. If you missed it earlier, the guy with the Haunter on his head, that's Hop's brother Leon. He's the current Pokemon champion. Not really a Haunter, but it definitely looks like it, and I'm sure that that's intentional.
I never noticed that, but it totally is a Haunter.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. So now we have our second rival fight. Luckily, Hop was not very good at this whole Pokemon trainer thing and picked a fire type after we picked a water type, so it's not real hard to beat.
Yeah, fun fact about this fight, the game actually does allow you to lose and you can still progress. You wouldn't really want to in, like, especially this run, just because it would mess up your experience and everything. But it's also kind of slow to do if you don't have a good way to do it. If you pick Grookey as your starter, it actually can be faster to lose here, because the third Pokemon that Hop picked up is a Rookidee being a flying type. And Grookey has the move Taunt, so you can basically force it to hit you with Peck, which would be super effective because you're a grass type, and cause you to faint pretty quickly. Grookey isn't picked for any of the main categories in this game, so it's never a strategy you really get to see, but it's always fun to mention that. Starting in Generation 7, I want to say, they started allowing you to lose to rival fights sometimes. Sometimes you can't lose, but sometimes you can and still progress, and this is one of those fights.
I did not know that.
Honestly, it's hard to lose to the fight.
Yeah.
Like, assuming you're using just your starter and you have it leveled up to this point. If you're trying to be a little bit more diverse with your team, you might struggle because you'll be a bit under-leveled, but where you're only using your starter, it's honestly kind of difficult to lose if you just use your most powerful move.
Yep, so there's Hop. Hop's done. That's the last time we'll fight him. Because we're coming really close to the point where we will actually go and do DLC content. So the real rival, the real nemesis of the run is coming up. His name is Onyx. And we'll see if he decides to play nicely.
Yeah. So you'll notice C right now is level 10. And something that a lot of people don't know, because it's not really advertised anywhere, is Generation 8 made a change so that Pokemon that are a higher level than you are just flat out harder to catch. We don't have exact numbers because we don't have the code, and like I said, it's not really documented anywhere, but it seems to be about like a 10% chance on top of the catch rate already. So if a Pokemon is normally 50% to get in, it realistically seems to have about a 5% if it's a higher level than you are. In order to enter the Isle of Armor, we have to catch a Slowpoke that is level 12, and that's 2 levels higher than us. So we need to get from level 10 to level 12 as fast as possible, and the fastest way to do that is to defeat a very high level Onix. And that Onix can kill you very quickly.
Yeah. So basically, the Onix has, what, 4 moves? And
Yep.
3 of the moves are fine for the most part, but you have to hit the Onix with one of your moves twice. So it's an easy spot to die and have to just restart the game and try again. I have yet to have a run where I do beat the Onix on the first try. So, we'll see.
Yeah, and that Onyx is why we set the date the way that we did at the very beginning. I mentioned that weather is going to come into play. It's going to be raining in the rolling fields where the Onyx is, and in rain, your water type moves are going to deal 50% more damage. So what would normally be like a 3-shot, maybe even a 4-shot if we got bad damage rolls, ends up being a 2-shot, maybe a 3-shot, depending on the stats of the Onyx, or like our special attack is a little bit lower than normal, so it might take an extra shot, but
Oh, I sure hope not.
but yeah, it's
What? Since when are you here?
but yeah, believe it or not, it actually is favored to it is favored for you to win in 2 turns, but in practice it's not. Like, if you do out the math, it is actually over 50% to beat it in 2 turns. It just doesn't happen that way when you're actually doing the run.
I don't know that I've ever seen a Zigzagoon on that route, and he's so fast. So hard to avoid. So
Nice. Yep.
a neat thing about this game that I just learned semi-recently is that your mother's appearance changes depending on what character you pick, which is kind of cool. I don't know if previous Pokemon games had ever done that, but this one does.
I don't know about the main series one. I know Let's Go did not. Your mother always had the same character model, and I want to say in Sun Moon it was like that too, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it is a nice touch in this one. I like her rain boots.
All right, so now we're gonna see the wild area for the first time. We hopefully will not have a raid right here in front of us because, okay, cool, we don't. We're gonna grab some watts out of a raid den, and we only need 50 watts because we only need 1 quick ball. But so we don't need a raid in the den, and it's slower if there is a raid in the den than if there is not, because it gives you some extra little text boxes and stuff to tell you what raids are and how they work and stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though raids are like a really cool thing casually, they just don't. There's no real way to make them save time in a speedrun, so we just never end up using them because they do waste a lot of time between different animations and things like that. The only time you'll see them typically is going to be if you're doing like an alternate main Pokemon that requires a raid, or in like a catch-em-all type category.
All right, so we save before this because things are going to get messy. And here we go.
Good
All
luck.
right. Let's see. If this happens in less than 3 tries, I'll be pretty happy. So as you can see, it's quite a bit higher level than we are. All right. That's technically okay. So now we just need it to use a move that doesn't do damage, and it didn't do that, so we're just gonna do one of these real quick.
There it is.
All right, so there's one.
So you'll notice that the first water gun there did more than half. And I said it was like usually a 2-shot, sometimes a range to be a 2-shot. The reason for that is Dragon Breath knocked him down into that torrent state that I mentioned earlier. Because he's under 1/3 health, his water moves are going to be 50% more effective, so he's going to do quite a bit more damage. If you get lucky, you can get knocked into torrent and then score a critical hit and one-shot the Onyx, but I personally have had that happen once. So very unlikely.
Okay, so no damage this time. which is good. Oh, will it miss or will it kill us? It's going to kill us. All right. So that's the move we really don't want to see because it does, in fact, kill you if it hits you, which it hits you pretty much every time.
So is this one of those big points of RNG in this round?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I've never had a run where I beat the Onyx on the first try.
Yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, still have not.
Yeah. You will one day.
One day, yeah. All right. Well. No! Oh, wait. It can miss. It can miss. It didn't miss. Okay.
Oh, man.
Come on, Onyx. Onyx heard that we were, putting on a show for GDQ and decided to flex its muscles a little bit.
Are we sure?
Okay, that's a question. Does Onyx have muscles, or is it just all rocks?
Excellent question.
There has to be like some sort of muscle running through those rocks, right?
I don't know how the Pokemon universe works.
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Etiquette, as the resident Pokemon expert here.
Oh boy.
What is the ruling on does Onyx have muscles?
I say he does not have muscles.
Oh, okay. So Onyx does not have muscles. Hey, we did it!
Good job, C.
Yay.
Thanks.
I was going to say, with this kind of bad luck, I'm surprised it isn't actually Keyzeron doing the run.
Rip keys. All right, now we run around this tree so it doesn't tell us about berries. And then we're going to grab our watts from here to buy the quick ball. And then this time we actually do want to take damage and faint. So we're going to run over to an electric type and fight it. So as you have noticed, we don't have a bicycle like you sometimes have in a Pokemon game. We haven't gotten that yet. We're not going to get it at all. So we're pretty slow, and we'll take a lot of intentional deaths to kind of warp us places.
Yeah, especially in this first wild area, it's really nice because when you faint, you don't go back to a Pokemon Center. It brings you to the entrance of the wild area. And the lady there will ask you if you want to stay where you are or if you want to go to whatever towns you have unlocked. In this case, you've unlocked Motostoke, so she allows you to just go straight to Motostoke, which is really nice. This is in the main game. We do this twice, actually 3 times in the shield category because we do a little bit of extra stuff in the wild area. But yeah, we do it twice to get across the wild area. It's actually worth pointing out in very early on routing. We used to go for that Onyx in the main game and go for the KO there to try and get some extra levels. And if you lost to the Onyx, it actually wasn't a big deal because that just counted as your death warp that you got to go to the other side of the wild area for. So there was kind of like 2 different routes depending on if you KO'd the Onyx or not. That's not done anymore because the time it takes to gain the levels on Onyx doesn't actually save itself back, but it's a neat little thing there.
And now we're gonna buy some potions and some X special attacks. Oh, that's not what we want. Not 163 of them. Because we want to use X special attack to make Sobble do more damage. You can also technically buy some X attacks there to use later for Cubfu, but it's just not. I haven't found it super necessary, so I just save the time and don't buy them, which is possibly a mistake. I don't know.
Yeah, it's every now and then you need them, but even then, it's not necessarily like you need them. It's more like it would just save a little bit of time if you had them. So not getting them is fine.
Yeah, I suppose the one time that you would like really want one, like if you don't, is if like the first Blissey that you run into later, is like level 16 or something. It'd be nice to have one then.
Yeah, that's when you would use it. You don't need it for any actual fights.
Okay, so now we're gonna do. Now we're ready to go do the DLC. So we gotta get back to the train to go back to the first town. So we're gonna fight the big horse and hope that it actually attacks us. Sometimes it decides not to do that, and have it send us back. I'm gonna pound in case it uses counter. Okay, cool. So yeah, there we go. So now it'll send us back, and this time we just won't have the lady on the other side send us anywhere because we're just gonna get back on the train. All right.
So now begins the actual DLC section.
Yeah. So I believe this little bit here, even if you don't own the DLC, you can do this little bit. This was released like way before the DLC came out. It was like the day they announced it is when they released this stuff. Oh, I ran past the Slowpoke. So we're gonna catch a Slowpoke. This is the only other Pokemon that we catch in the entire run.
Yep. And yeah, so I mentioned very beginning of the run about how we manipulated the Watt traders. So we have Quick Balls in the inventory, and we bought one of those. Quick Ball has a 4 times multiplier on the catch rate if it's the first turn of the battle. So this Quick Ball here is actually guaranteed. You don't have to worry about any sort of catch RNG with it.
All right, and away we go. If you've not seen the Isle of Armor yet, you're in for a treat. It's pretty cool. But before we can see, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say the Isle of Armor was like we said, the DLC that came out in June. It basically added a big wild area. There's really no towns or routes or anything. It's all just one big wild area with different regions, just like the main one. And with those different regions also have different weather, which is going to come into play a little bit later on.
Yeah. But before we could see any of it, we have to fight again. So we're going to fight Clara, who we just saw at the train station. She basically takes the place of Hop. She'll be our like rival essentially for the run while we're on the island.
Yeah, if you're playing on Shield instead of on Sword, you would actually get Avery. They both have very similar like team breakdowns. Like their members are different, but they both share the same Pokemon. They're both going to have a Slowpoke that's going to evolve into a Slowbro. It's the Galarian form, which is going to be Poison Psychic. Clara here is the Poison type expert, and Avery is a Psychic type expert. So you can actually do the run in either Sword or Shield. I personally like doing it in Sword better. And Yeah, the fights aren't too different. Usually there's a bit more setup needed in shields, except for the last fight is a little bit easier in shield than it is in sword. The last Clara fight, not the last fight of the run. Most of the run is going to be identical between the two versions. So this is the first use of us using X items here. X items are incredibly powerful. They're used in pretty much every Pokemon speedrun. Starting in Generation 7, using an X item will increase your stat stage by 2. So if you have an X special attack, it puts you at +2 special attack. And the way that positive stat stages works are take that number and basically add 50% to your power. So normally you're doing 100%. If you're at +1, you're at 150%. If you're at +2, you're at 200%. So all of your special moves are going to be doing twice as much damage just from using one X special attack. It used to be that they were only +1 stat instead of +2, but they made that change in Generation 7 along with making them cost more money. So it was a little bit of a balancing thing. It is so much nicer that they are +2 now.
Yeah, I had never used an X anything, like, because I was only ever a casual Pokemon player, and casual Pokemon players just don't use items. At least I never do. I just, run my head into the wall until I beat something.
Yeah, it's just so nice.
Nice.
It's so nice because, like, sometimes, even casually, like, sometimes you'll have a Pokemon that has a move like Dragon Dance or Swords Dance or Agility or something like that, and sometimes you don't, and so these items just sort of take the place of moves like that. It's really nice.
Favorite part of Isle of Armor? There's a Wailord way out there. Big old Wailord. There's like a fun little mini game on the island. There are a bunch of Diglett hidden around all over the island, and you get prizes for finding them and whatnot. There's like 150 of them, and all you can see is the little golden hairs sticking up out of the ground. So
You said there were like 150 prizes?
right there. No, 150 Diglett.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, if people are looking for like 150 prizes, GDQ 2020 online is just 9 days away.
So this is the dojo. This is like the main hub. Like Etiquette said, there's not really a city or anything for the DLC. So basically, the dojo acts as your one-stop shop for all of the things.
Yeah, you don't have access to it yet, but there eventually will be things like Pokemon Center in there. There'll be a PC, so you can do your deposits if you need to. But you sort of unlock those as you go throughout the thing.
Yep.
I will.
So this next fight. Oh, go ahead.
I know. You talk about this next fight is way more important than what I was going to say.
Yeah. This next fight against Master Roshi, also known as Mustard, is kind of a pain. It's one of the few fights that's like actually scary, because he has two Pokemon, and like that's fine, but one of them's an electric type, and we obviously have not something you want against an electric type. And the other one is a fighting type that knows U-turn, and if it uses U-turn, it kind of just throws the entire thing out of whack, because then like we've taken damage and are fighting the electric type first, and it's just things get weird. So we definitely save before this fight.
Yeah, but believe it or not, ideally for this fight in particular, you actually don't have incredibly high speed, because what you would like to have happen, like an ideal fight, is on turn number 1, you're going to use a next special attack, which boosts your special attack by 2 stages, like I mentioned. And he's going to use the move Fake Out. Fake Out's a move that has increased priority and always causes you to flinch, but you can only use it on turn 1 that your Pokemon is out. So he'll use Fake Out turn 1, we use an X item. Turn 2, we just go straight for Water Pulse, and because the Mindfu outspeeds us, it'll actually knock us down into Torrent, which is necessary to one-shot both of the Pokemon. So that's the ideal fight. A lot of times it doesn't work out that way. If you get U-turned, things get bad, especially if the Mindfu outspeeds you. If you don't get knocked into Torrent, it can be bad. So if you don't get Fake Out turn 1, it can be bad. A lot of things can go wrong.
So that's why we use the Cherry Berry there, is because getting paralyzed also could ruin everything.
Yes.
But now we should be fine, probably.
Yeah, that's a very textbook fight right there. That's the way it's supposed to go.
But it is Pokemon, so, you know, who knows? All right, we're good.
Electric types have a bias to me where I don't know why, but I always expect electric types to be super fast. So when I saw this Shinx, I was like, oh no, he's going to outspeed me too, but he doesn't. Not quite as fast.
I also have that mental thing where I feel like they're fast. I guess just because like lightning bolts are associated with speed and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd never really thought of that.
And like 2 of the fastest Pokemon in Generation 1 were like Jolteon and Electrode, which are both electric types. So it not completely out of the question, not out of left field, but it doesn't have to be that way. Electric types can be slow. Yeah, so what I was going to say before the mustard fight there was we're obviously skipping through a lot of the text, but if you guys ever have a chance to go back and either play this yourself or watch a playthrough, I definitely recommend like actually reading like a lot of the dialogue and everything. I personally think the story here, like the actual like guts of the story is kind of lacking, but there's a lot of really like clever and funny moments in it. And it almost feels out of character for a Pokemon game to be like this lighthearted and everything.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun.
All right. So it took me like 3 runs before I noticed what's about to happen. But my favorite thing is about to happen. It's just this little pants lizard running through frame.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
All right, so the Master Dojo, we sort of got into the Master Dojo under false pretenses if you actually pay attention to the story, but now that we're in there, there are 3 trials, and whoever can actually complete all 3 trials is going to receive Cub Food, the legendary Pokemon. So first trial here is these 3 incredibly fast Slowpoke have stolen the dojo uniform of one of our members. And it is our job to get that back. So there's these Slowpoke here are like gimmicked in a way where they're always going to go first. They always have, you know, they're actually pretty bulky, more bulky than a normal wild Pokemon is. We don't know exact numbers, but it does seem like they actually have some like stat investment when it comes to effort values. Which are something that doesn't come into play a whole lot in speedruns, but does if you know about casual or competitive Pokemon. So because of that, we're going to go and pick up this technical record, or TR, for Muddy Water. Teachable moves were broken into 2 different pools in Generation 8. There are TMs, which are your typical technical machines. Those are pretty much the same as they've always been. And they introduced technical records, and technical records are like the old style of TMs where they're not infinite use anymore. And at least in the main game, the only way to get them is either by doing max raid battles or by buying them via Watts in the wild area. The wild area in the Isle of Armor, however, did add a few of these TRs scattered throughout, so there is a chance for us to pick them up. None of the TRs are worth it to get in a normal speedrun, but because they're just on the ground in the Isle of Armor, we can grab that one, and actually another one later on.
Cool. Yeah, so we grabbed Muddy Water. It's a nice water move, and I like to alternate what moves I use in these fights because they know disable. So like it's just annoying if you use the same move twice and they happen to disable it. So I just do that instead. Not technically necessary, just a thing that I have started doing because I get real tired of trying to Muddy Water twice and the second one not working.
Yeah, Muddy Water does have a significant power increase over Water Pulse. But yeah, sometimes you just get disabled and you have to, you waste that turn anyways. So sometimes it's worth just getting the damage off.
Nope. Yeah, let's see. And I think I have plenty of HP. I'm not going to use the potion here. Should be fine.
It's a shame we get to the slowpoke like right after it crosses the area. Wonder if there's a faster path we can take. I don't even know.
Yeah, you kind of do that with all of them. Like you just barely miss all of them.
Yep.
See, and I shouldn't really need to heal here either because I'm gonna get a little bit of XP or HP from leveling up, and I'm gonna do a lot of damage, probably. And I'll be in Torrent, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
All right, so we got one more fast slowpoke to fight. I'm going to stand a little bit away from that Malamar because it will attack me, and that will be bad. Nothing is more disappointing than standing there waiting for the slowpoke to come around and you being in the wrong spot and it just blowing past you.
Oh my god, it's the worst. It's really only like 10 seconds for the slowpoke to go all the way around in the circle again, but it just feels so bad. You're like, all right, I'm lined up, and then it just blitzes right past you.
All right, well that was a completely painless set of fast slowpoke fights.
Yeah, that was really good.
All right, now we're gonna stick slowpoke in a box because we don't really need him, and that way we can run over here and fight the Malamar, and it can kill us and send us back, or faint us. Things don't die in Pokemon. You just faint. So we'll just growl at it.
Yeah, we didn't play enough of the game. We didn't play enough of the game to get either the technique for fly. It would have required like an extra 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay. And we didn't go far enough to get the bike, which would have done about another half hour of gameplay in the main story before going to the Isle of Armor. So death warping is just the best way to go around the area. There are some long runs you have to do a little bit later on, but for the most part, it's not too bad in this category.
It'd be so nice to have the bike.
I know.
So, neat thing that Isle of Armor introduced was a couple more Gen 1 friends. So we got Bulbasaur and Squirtle. We're going to take Bulbasaur and use Bulbasaur as a sacrifice later, and that's all we use Bulbasaur for.
It's all he's good for. I have a very love-hate relationship with Bulbasaur, being a former Gen 1 glitched runner, where Bulbasaur was quite necessary to get through the beginning of that category. But every time I say Bulbasaur sucks, I get people mad at me, so I'm not going to say it this time.
The problem with this Bulbasaur is that it's only like level 5. So by the time we get it, it's just kind of not really that worth it for us. But it does clean up some toxic spikes.
It does.
It does do that for us. So it has a purpose.
This run wouldn't be possible without the Bulbasaur, so we have to like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one thing that's not really going to come into play at all in this run, or even the main game for the speed run at least, but they start to explain at this point, is the concept of Gigantamaxing. So the gimmick in Generation 8 is Dynamax. Dynamax is a state that you can put one Pokemon in per battle. And for 3 turns, that Pokemon is going to be Dynamaxed, which means it's going to have increased HP, and all of its moves are going to become max moves. So it doesn't matter what move it was before, it's now a max move that depends on what type of move it is. And it's going to have, for the most part, increased power as well. So every like major fight in the game has one Pokemon that gets Dynamaxed on the opponent's side. So every gym leader, every there's no Elite Four in the game, but like the Champions Cup at the end has all Dynamax Pokemon. Gigantamax is something that prior to the Isle of Armor, you had to catch a Pokemon specifically that could Dynamax, or Gigantamax rather. And Gigantamaxing is specific to that Pokemon. So only specific Pokemon can Gigantamax, and when they do, their max moves will turn into special moves for them specifically. So for example, a Pokemon like Charizard can Gigantamax, and instead of having Max Flare, which is the fire type max move, is going to have Gmax Wildfire, which has a different secondary effect. The Isle of Armor introduced a way for you to change your Dynamax Pokemon into Gigantamax Pokemon, so you no longer have to go hunting specifically for a Gmax, which was a really nice quality of life change.
Yeah, so as long as there was a Gmax state that existed for the Pokemon, you can now make them that.
Yeah, exactly. And probably the main reason they did that is they introduced Gmax forms for like the starter Pokemon, and I mean, they're your starter Pokemon. You can breed them, but other than that, there's no way to catch them. So you wouldn't have a way to get a Gmax form of them.
All right, so we're gonna put another berry on. This time we're gonna use a Pekka berry. Drizzle. I didn't even have to use my berry in those Slowpoke fight. That's real nice. That's all we're gonna do there. Gonna put Bulbasaur away and definitely save.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
this fight typically is fine, but it's another one, kind of like the first mustard fight, where like if things start going off the rail, it can get really hairy.
Oh yeah, and if you lose and you faint, like we said earlier, there are no Pokemon centers. You go back to the dojo, so that run that he just had to do, he'd have to do all over again. So saving here is definitely a smart choice. I did this run a couple weeks ago at a marathon, and I saved on the way into the tower. And that actually saved me. I died to like the 3rd fight and had to redo them. So it's such a long walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will. Oh, that's not what we don't need another special attack. We'll definitely save like in between rooms sometimes if it seems like things are gonna be a little questionable in the next room. All right, so now this is probably fine. Where things can get hairy is if you get confused by that slowpoke and start just damaging yourself. Then things can be bad. But since that didn't happen, we should be fine.
Yeah, and this is sort of the part of the DLC where things really start to ramp up in level. If you're keeping track of like number of fights and everything, we honestly haven't done that many fights. There's been a bit of dialogue and some long sequences of like chasing slowpokes and stuff, but in terms of actual like trainer battles, this is the third one we've done on the Isle of Armor. So our level is actually pretty low for this point. We're right on par with her level right now, and then the next fight we do, we're going to be significantly under leveled. So this is where things start to get pretty dangerous. The way experience works in this game is actually really cool. It takes after Generation 5 and Generation 7, where it's actually a scaled experience curve. You're going to gain more experience fighting the same Pokemon if you're a lower level than if you're a higher level. And so because of that, even though we are a lower level going through this area, we start to make up for that by just gaining more experience naturally through the experience formula. Yeah, going out of our way here to get a few items in the Pot Bottom Desert before doing yet another Death Warp.
Yep. We'll Death Warp from here twice. The second one is way dumber than the first one because they don't cooperate very well on the second one. But this big friend here will send us right back to the dojo.
Rhyperior is another Pokemon I have a love-hate relationship with. I was doing before the Isle of Armor came out, I was doing a catch-em-all type speedrun. And the only way to get Rhyperior, because I was doing it by myself and I couldn't trade, the only way to get it is through a max raid. And I just, because I was doing it like as a speedrun for a leaderboard, like we don't allow you to use online features and like that. So I had to do the max raid by myself. And I just could not beat the Rhyperior max raid with the Pokemon I had, because the CPU partners they give you are just awful.
They're not good. Especially if you don't take a level 100 Pokemon in.
Yeah.
Because it's like 70% of your level is what the CPU level is, so yeah. I don't love the design of Rhyperior. Like, I really like the first two Pokemon in that line. I think they look really cool, and then I don't like what they did with Rhyperior.
Yeah, it's all right. But I can agree with that. I do like the first two, and Rhyperior looks kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna eat some soup. We're about ready for the last challenge.
These challenges in the Master Dojo are so unfair. Like we're the ones who beat the Slowpoke. We're the ones who get the max mushrooms from the cave, and yet in order to beat the third trial, we have to fight Clara to see who gets to finish the third trial, even though she didn't finish the first two.
Right. Although I guess technically she had some max mushrooms in the second trial.
I guess.
But the first trial was literally Slowpoke took her uniform. We have to get it back for her. Like,
yeah. But I will say, even though she, may be undeserving in getting to this third trial, she does something that I really hope they keep doing in Pokemon games with specific trainers, which is she is a dirty, dirty cheater.
yeah, she is.
She starts this fight by setting up toxic spikes, and toxic spikes are an entry hazard in Pokemon that will give your Pokemon, when it switches into the battlefield, toxic poison. So you're instantly going to have the status effect for poison. That's why we picked Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is part poison, so instead of getting poisoned, it's going to absorb the toxic spikes and get rid of them for us. If you're playing on shields, then Avery sets up a psychic terrain because he's the psychic type specialist. And psychic terrain is not nearly as brutal as the toxic spikes are.
So we really, really want to save before this one.
Oh, yeah.
This fight is definitely a run killer. You know, if you are really going for times that you want to put on leaderboards and stuff, and not just farming legendaries for shinies. Oh, also, funny thing happens here. Anyway, this fight we're gonna see Dynamax or Giganta. No, it's just Dynamaxing. We're gonna see some Dynamaxing, and we're gonna see problems with poison and just all sorts of stuff. And things can go wrong all throughout. Like, it can go perfectly fine for the first 3 Pokemon, and then the last one will just decide to live with 1 HP, and then you lose. And it's just, it can be very frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Bulbasaur gets the Toxic Spike for us. He's going to try to tackle, is instead going to not do that. So thank you for your sacrifice.
Couldn't do this run without him.
All right. This is where you have to try and not screw up. So you want to Max Mushroom. And then we'll... So Max Mushroom is going to increase all of our stats, which is nice. And then we're going to use a special attack as well. Okay, so this was fine. We only got poisoned on the second one, where things can... Oh, just kidding. We got poisoned on the first one. This is a lot less fine. So we had a berry there to make sure that we could heal off being poisoned. You know, I think we're just going to go ahead and do one of these because I don't foresee that one going very well.
Oh. Yeah, no.
At least that one, you know, died early instead of getting all the way to the end. So anyway, there's like a 30% chance or something like that of us getting poisoned on those Poison Fang attacks. So we have a berry to clear off the first poison if it happens. So if you get poisoned on the first turn or the second turn, it's fine. But if you get poisoned on both turns, it's a lot less fine. And then if you miss Muddy Water after that, like I just did, you definitely should start over because you're not going to make it.
I just looked it up. Apparently, they upped it to 50% poison rate. No wonder it happens all the time.
No wonder it's terrible. Yeah, so we'll try this again. Hopefully only you see 1 poison this time instead of 2.
Yeah, and even after you get past that setup and you get rid of the Skorupi, it doesn't miss, you don't get poisoned, whatever, there's still a decent, like...
Yeah, it still can go really wrong really fast.
So...
You can also really screw up. I've messed up this fight before by Dynamaxing too early because we are going to use Dynamax, but not on the first fight, like the first Pokemon. And if you do that, you will be sad and have to start over. Because you're only Dynamax for 3 turns, and you definitely want it for the 4th Pokemon. All right. Well, there's 1 poison.
Oh.
I really like when it doesn't happen the first time.
I know.
Because that just means I have a better chance. Hey, we're fine for now. Hey, we're still fine.
Awesome.
Okay. So getting past that first Pokemon, definitely the first hurdle. Now the second two should be fine, theoretically. And then the last Pokemon will be where things get scary again.
It'll be fine.
It'll probably, maybe be fine. I mean, nothing has ever gone wrong in a Pokemon run during a marathon, ever.
It's just not possible to go wrong.
So now we have a big lizard. So these first three Pokemon, or I guess, never mind. We've seen two of those Pokemon before. The last one and this one. The first one was new. And then this last one is not technically new, but it's different than it was last time, and it's a lot scarier now.
Yeah, one nice thing is it's Galarian Slowbro as opposed to normal Slowbro, so it doesn't share the water typing, so your Max Geyser is going to do neutral damage to it. However, it does have the ability Quick Draw. Quick Draw has a 30% chance to activate, which will make it go first, which it didn't activate, which is nice. That's the first step. That's a different
So
show,
we don't
actually.
lose yet. Okay, we're fine.
Okay.
We did it.
Very good.
Sometimes it just will not take all of the damage. I don't know why. It'll just sometimes stop at like 1 HP, and it makes you incredibly sad. All right.
So now that that's through, I actually have a question for etiquette. You know, you
Sure.
said you were involved more in the routing side of things lately, but just in terms of like routing this game or any other Pokemon games, have you gotten, you know, far into a route and then realized, hey, we can't actually do this, and then had to, you know, kind of go back and, you know, reroute large portions of a game?
Definitely. Usually it involves something that I assume early on that ends up not being true. A good example of that was in Generation 6, there are some move tutors that will teach your starter Pokemon special moves, specifically your starters. And I like routed a whole section of the game assuming that was true. And that is true, but it does require you to have maximum friendship on your Pokemon, and you don't have maximum friendship at that part of the game. So you sort of have to go back. But I sort of learned my lesson from doing stuff like that, or like getting to a certain fight and realizing it's not possible, to where now if I have like a neat routing idea, I'll more or less start with like the most difficult fights. So in the main game, it'll be things like the second gym leader is a pretty tough one. Nessa has a Dreadnought that is definitely a bit of a wall to get through. So I'll start and be like, all right, how do I get through that? How do I get through this other Pokemon? And just sort of start going from there. I don't think I approach it the same as a lot of other people. I think a lot of other people will probably start at the beginning and just work their way through it step by step. But I try to nail down like the really hard stuff first and then sort of backfill everything else.
So this is Cubfu. Cubfu is the legendary. He's adorable. But he's only level 10, which is a problem. Because in order to finish the game, we need to go through 5 fights of level like mid-20s to like 30 Pokemon. Which, you know, if you're level 10 isn't exactly ideal. So we have to level them up some. And we also have to, oh, that's not what we want. We have to be friends with it. Best friends with it too. So, oh, and before I go outside, we have to change our time again because we want different weather outside than what we currently have. Oh. There we go.
Yeah, this right here was something that blew my mind when we figured it out. So The game in the wild area has access to, I think it's 7 or 8 different weather types. There's normal, overcast, rain, thunderstorm, snow, blizzard, sandstorm, sunlight, and fog. I guess that's 9. And sandstorm and blizzard are locked to the mid game, so you can't get those in the wild area until you get the 3rd badge. And fog is locked behind post game. You can't actually get fog until you've beaten the game. You'll notice C right now is in fog, and it just so happens that the requirements are different in the Isle of Armor. We all just assumed that fog was going to be locked behind post game, so we didn't even bother looking. And then somebody found out it was possible, so we started using fog for this section. Basically, Chansey and Blissey were added in the Isle of Armor update, and they both have very high experience yields, so absolutely the best Pokemon for us to grind on. Blissey only spawns in the fog, which is why we needed fog specifically. It's a 2% encounter, but because they're all overworld encounters, you can just generate so many of them that even though it's 2%, you see them fairly commonly.
Yeah, so far this has gone pretty well. Sometimes this is really terrible and the Blisseys just refuse to spawn, but 2 really fast ones is good.
Oh wow, that second one was great. I saw a screenshot of somebody the other day who actually the screenshot had 3 Blisseys on their screen.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah.
Keep all moves. So basically we want to get to like level, normally like if you're going for like PB attempts, you want to get to like level 19. And then you can head on and do the other stuff. I'm probably going to try and hit level 20 just for a little bit of marathon safety in the very final fight. But I mean, we'll see how kind the Blissey are, and that will. Oh no! Ah, there we go. And we'll see where we are after a couple more of these, and that'll determine whether I fight more of them. Oh, this one's a low level. It's not great.
Yeah, if the Blissey run away from you a little bit too much, they actually can despawn. So you were probably like a second,
oh yeah, that was
maybe
terrifying.
a half a second away from it just despawning on you.
No. Come back. No! Dang it. Speaking of them despawning.
No, you were so close.
Oh, and in case you missed it in the dialogue that I matched through, your Pokemon are now allowed to run outside of your ball and hang out with you. Their first slot one, like a Heart Gold, Soul Silver style. Oh, which is really cool. It leads to some really funny things when you have like a Whale Lord or something like that.
So just gigantic following you.
Yeah, it's huge. Some of them will even swim, which is really cool. Like if it is a Pokemon that like is found in water or whatever and has a swimming animation, it like if you're riding your bike in water, it'll swim behind you, which is really cool. Come on, Blissey.
That's pretty neat. So while you're doing this,
yeah,
you know, where can we find you, both C and Etiquette? You know, what do you do?
Yeah, well, I stream sometimes, and you can find me as C Average on Twitch and Twitter, and then as Richard mentioned earlier, I'm one of the like photography volunteers for GDQ, so I also have an Instagram that is also C Average. So that is where you find me on all of the things.
Yeah, and then my name is Etiquette everywhere, so it should be on the stream there under C's face. And yeah, I stream a lot. Like I said, mostly Pokemon speedruns. I'll actually be doing Pokemon Shield any percent at SGDQ in a couple weeks, closing out the marathon, which will be exciting. And yeah, I also just want to quickly plug, we're currently actually doing a Pokemon speedrunning marathon where everybody in the community is doing a run, or showcasing runs this weekend. So if you guys want to check that out, If you went to my Twitch page now, I think I'd be hosting it, so you can get to it that way.
Where is that exactly?
That is on the Twitch channel, Pokemon Speedruns TV.
Pokemon Speedruns TV.
Yep, and that will be all weekend until Sunday evening on the East Coast of the US.
Okay, well, that one spawned far away and ran away from me again. So we're still on the hunt. I tried like slowing down to do the sneak thing, but it appeared to be staring right at me, so it took off running anyway. I should have just run at it and hope for the best.
All right. Well, while you're still doing that, I'll just
keep
spew
doing
out a
things.
couple announcements then. So tomorrow on the GDQ channel here at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Runners Wanted. That is a show about growing communities in various speed games, games that have, just one or two, just a few runners. And so if you're interested in that, come here at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And just as a reminder for everyone, SGDQ 2020 Online is starting August 16th and is going to the 23rd. So there's a lot of information about the event at gamesdonequick.com, and you can go there for that. And if you want to learn about any of the Hotfix shows, if you run anything and you're interested in showcasing something on Hotfix, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. You can learn about the different shows, and there's something where you can submit your ideas for things. So feel free to check that out as well.
We did it. We found one.
Yay.
Nice.
Let's see. What level is this going to put me at? Hopefully something decent. Well, that's not ideal. Nope, that's not what we want to run into. All right, so we're at 18, and I really would like to be at least level 19 before I enter the tower. So I suppose I will look for one more Blissey.
Things were looking up for you right at the beginning, and
They were two real fast ones, and then things went downhill.
the game was really playing with your heart there.
Yeah.
Just giving you those first two.
To be fair, it did give me more of them pretty quickly after that. I just chased them off and didn't get to fight them. I don't even know how many. Was that the third or the fourth one? Probably the third one if I'm only level 18. I don't know. Doesn't matter. That was rude.
Oh no, not again.
Come on. Come on. Too bad Keys isn't here to do his Pokemon calls.
So with this kind of, running around, let's say you were like a sliver away from level 20. Could you just go into another fight?
Yeah, so there are some other like normal type Pokemon like that will run past that also have decent XP values. Nothing like even close to Blissey. But there's also 2% chance in all of the other areas we're about to run through for Chansey to spawn, which has like, the second highest XP value to Blissey. So after this one, regardless of whether I hit 19 or 20, like I'll hit 19 for sure. And even if I don't hit 20, I'll go ahead and move on and potentially just fight a Chansey if I see one, or maybe like a Miltank or something like that also has decent values. Basically, from what I know of Pokemon games, if it has a lot of XP, it typically has, or a lot of HP, it typically has a pretty decent amount of XP yield as well. Let's put headbutt on. No. Oh no. That is bad. Oh.
Oh.
Etiquette, do you have any suggestions here other than doing this again?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, what you should go do is run back to the train station. Take the train station back to Wedgehurst, and you can use the move relearner in the Pokemon Center.
Okay.
To relearn.
Yeah, we're gonna
Ender.
do that real fast.
Yeah. I think there is a move relearner on the island, but I think you unlock it later on. Like you have to.
Yeah, I don't think
you have to give
it
Honey
yet.
a bunch of watts and stuff to upgrade the dojo.
So what happened there was I accidentally forgot the move Endure, which I don't want to do because I want that move. It is pretty much required for the final fight. Let's see, what's the way to do this? Yeah, go here. So yeah, we'll just go to the move learner. I didn't even see what level I hit.
Nobody's ever been nervous during a marathon run before.
Yeah, nobody's ever made mistakes.
You did hit level 20, so that's good.
Perfect. So yeah, that's really good. That one was a pretty high level Blissey, so that was helpful. All right, you're the move. Remember a move.
Yeah, one of the really, really nice quality of life improvements they made in this game is every Pokemon, the moves that they've learned at previous levels are just available in a move relearner and are free. So if you catch a high level Pokemon, you can always relearn a lower level move. For some specific Pokemon, like Stone Evolutions, for example, you can actually learn every move that the previous evolution learns. Because Stone Evolutions don't actually learn moves via level up. They technically learn them all at level 1, quote unquote. So that actually comes into play in the speedrun, the main game as well. But yeah, it can easily save us there when we make a small little menu mistake.
All right, so now we have done all of our leveling. Oh, of course, there's a Blissey right there. That's cool. So now we have to go do some like landmark watching or landmark looking at with our Cubfu to become best friends with Cubfu. We did get enough Blissey fights there that we shouldn't have to do a Pokecamp, which is kind of nice. We should get enough friendship through just doing the lookout points. And we'll actually end up using that rare candy on Cubfu as well. Oh my goodness, didn't see it there. But I'm gonna save that until later because I probably can hit 21 in the tower early enough that I can then use the rare candy after that and hit level 22, which then will just make things even easier. And I don't need the rare candy. I'm a high enough level at this point that I don't need the rare candy for any of the like really early fights in the tower. So I'm just gonna hold on to it.
Yeah, so while you're doing the sort of sightseeing tour with Cubfu, I want to point out so you'll notice that the name of the category is the Tower of Two Fists, Get Urshifu. As a sort of a joke, when it was originally created, we called it Good Ending because there's technically a bad ending to the category, which is you can actually just release your Cubfu. And if you do that and talk to Mustard, I've not done this myself, but I've seen a video of it. He'll basically say, well, you don't have Cubfu anymore. There's no point in learning friendship. Just go take on the tower. So it would technically be faster for us to like release the Cubfu and then just go up the tower using our own team.
You've
But
I can't outrun these.
oh my god. They just come right at you.
They do. There's no getting away.
Yeah, the other thing to mention with that bad ending thing, no one's actually done a run of the bad ending, so
I didn't even know that was an option.
yeah, we changed the name from good ending to get Urshifu just because it explains what it is better, and I mean, realistically, nobody's going to do the other one, so.
So I didn't mention this earlier because Etiquette was talking about something, but one thing I really, really like about this DLC is this area in the wild area where these Amogulas just fly over your head, and it's awesome.
Yeah, they did a really good job sort of diversifying the wild area in the Isle of Armor. Like, the main game's wild area is basically a giant open area where everything more or less looks the same, except for, like, the Dusty Bowl is kind of deserty, and everything else is grasslands. But here they, like, have this nice forest. They have a couple caves. They have a desert in the back. They've got, like, a couple beaches.
The ocean.
Like, it's actually really cool.
No. I can't outrun that one. So we'll have to do one more of these little viewpoints. They're actually more than the ones that we do, but because we don't have a bike with aquatic capabilities, we can't do them. So we have to do a bunch of fighting and then do those 3 and hope that that's enough friendship to get us to the next stage of the game. The little Cubones in this are adorable.
Yeah, overworld Pokemon spawns, they're so cool.
Yeah, I'm so glad that that's a thing. All right, and this should say that we are ready to go talk to Mustard about how great of friends we are. And then that means we're done. Yeah, we're now best friends. So now we're going to try and death warp from here again. And we're going to try it with this bird. Sometimes that doesn't work very well because sometimes it decides to run away after it attacks us. So we'll see. I've also had it happen. So we're best friends now, which means there's a chance that your Pokemon will survive a one-hit KO move with 1 HP because it doesn't want you to be sad. And yeah, I've definitely had that happen. This should work fine. Getting pumped. So here's the thing we didn't want to have happen. It whirlwinds and runs away.
Oh no.
So now we're going to find another bird over here. We're going to try that again.
The other thing that can happen, which is very rare because it involves having like your friendship value be very particular, is because fainting loses you friendship, it's possible to have enough friendship, do the death warp, and then talk to Mustard and not have enough.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Now that's another thing to worry about.
I've personally never had it happen to me, but I know it's happened to some people.
All right. Well, that bird also ran away.
Oh, no.
So now we're going to go talk to our good friend. Well, okay, just kidding. I don't know.
I just run into anything, I guess, and just spam
Rhyhorn.
focus energy. Yeah.
Come here, Rhyhorn. Heckin' birds. Oh, this is gonna take forever. That's better. Do that again. All right, we did it.
Might have taken forever, but at least it wanted to do this too.
Yeah, at least it did attack me.
Which ultimately is faster than the
Oh,
alternative.
wait, I'm going the wrong way. This way.
And I don't see anybody saying it, but a lot of times when stuff like that happens, people will say like, oh, why didn't you just run back? It would have been faster. It still would have been faster for him to do exactly what he just did than it would have been to run all the way back. That's just how long this wild area
It is such a long run. And now we get to basically do it again, right? Almost to where we were.
Yep. So there are two towers that we can go up here, and if you've played casually, you know if you go up the Tower of Waters, you turn into, I think it's Rapid Strike Urshifu, which is the water type one. And if you go up the Tower of Darkness, you get Single Strike Urshifu. We're going to be going up the Tower of Darkness for two different reasons. One is Dark type is weak to Fighting type, which Kubfu is a Fighting type, so we're going to have the type advantage there. And also the Water Tower has a couple of Pokemon, mainly like Meryl, that are fairies, or otherwise resist the Fighting type, so we wouldn't really be able to do a ton of damage there.
So before we get to the tower, I want to give Kubfu a Rocky Helmet, and then also teach Reversal. And we're still not going to do the rare candy. We'll wait on that.
Yeah, the Rocky Helmet and the Reversal TR are two things that are very important for the final fight. Honestly, one of my favorite fights that I've ever routed or been a part of routing is that final fight. It's
really cool.
It's so clever the way that it works out. But we'll explain that when we get there.
Yeah. We're almost there, sort of. If we had the bike with the floats, we'd already be there because we go through one of the caves. But alas, we don't have a bike, nor do we have any floats for it. So that's the tower. We just gotta climb up a bunch of stairs. There we go. We did it. We ran.
Yay.
So it's going to tell us that we should be level 35 or something like that before we go in the tower. And we're going to say, no, that's okay. We're fine. Oh, yeah. 30. Okay. Yeah. It's fine. So basically we have 5 floors of this tower and we only get Kubfu. But it's like 5 1v1s. So it's not too bad, especially since, like Etiquette said, we have type advantage for the majority of these fights. So we just kind of go through and attack some stuff.
Zorua is one of the coolest Pokemon. Like, it has a really cool ability that is completely useless in a one-on-one battle. It has the ability Illusion, which makes it turn into, I think it's the last Pokemon in your party. And so it'll look like that, but still be a Zorua or a Zoroark if it evolves. But because he only has one Pokemon in his party, it just doesn't illusion anything. It's just a Zorua.
We got another pants lizard here. Probably the one that ran across the screen earlier, actually.
Yeah. Pants lizard. I like that.
As you can see, the Rocky helmet is really helping us out here. All right, there's that. I'm probably gonna go ahead and let's see. Potion is probably faster than saving, so I'm just gonna use a potion for this next fight because the next one is a little weird. Should be fine. Probably don't need it, but I'm gonna use it anyway, just for a little safety. Because this next fight we don't have like the type advantage. So we're going to use Headbutt a bunch to try and get flinches. We don't necessarily need the flinch, but the fewer flinches we get, the more damage we're going to take, obviously. So that's why I went ahead and used a potion there.
Yeah, one thing you can do, though it's quite a bit riskier, is the move reversal. The way that it works is if you're at low HP, or like the lower HP you're at, the higher power it has. So like it starts out, I think, 40 power if you're at full HP, and then increases all the way up to like a 200 power if you're at 1 HP. So one thing you can do, though it's a lot riskier, is set it up so that way you have like a 1 HP reversal on the Scraggy, and then keep that 1 HP through the Inkay here. However, like there's a chance that you don't one shot and it can be kind of dangerous, so
Yeah.
usually it's better just play it safe.
I did not get any flinches there, so I'm going to save before this fight.
Oh yeah.
Because we do want low HP for this fight. I just might have a little less HP than I actually want. So we'll see how this goes. Inkay is cool as well, and the way Inkay evolves is really neat, except on Switch it's a lot less neat because you cannot evolve Inkay in docked mode, and even if you're in handheld, you cannot, let's see, I'm going to reversal. Even if you are in handheld trying to evolve Inkay, if your Pro controller is hooked up to your, like, is on at the time, it still won't work because it will. Oh, this is perfect. Yeah, so Inkay is just kind of hard to evolve on a Switch. That was all that was about. Anyway, I got lucky there. I did not, in fact, have enough HP. But because my Pokemon didn't want to make me sad for once, for the first time this run, I survived. And I am going to use the rare candy because I hadn't done that yet.
All right, so this here is the final fight against Mustard. Mustard has his own Kubfu. It's going to be level 30, which is pretty crazy. He also has a very rude nature. He has Adamant Nature, which boosts his attack. And one of his moves is Aerial Ace, and Aerial Ace is a flying type move, which is super effective against us. So, and actually one more thing I forgot to mention, he's holding an item called a Focus Sash. And what a Focus Sash is an item that if you're at full health and are going to be knocked out, you're going to live on 1 HP instead. So no matter what we do, we have to damage the Kubfu more than once. We can't just take it out in one hit. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is use a Max Mushroom on turn 1. That's that Omni Boost item that's going to boost all of our stats by 1 stage. It gives us the defense to live an Aerial Ace. It gives us the speed to outspeed the Kubfu. And it gives us the attack to do enough damage to the Kubfu. The next turn, so he hits us with Aerial Ace and takes damage because we're holding the Rocky Helmet. Rocky Helmet is an item that when you're hit by a contact move, the opponent takes 1/6 of its max HP in recoil. So he's going to damage himself on us, turn 1. Turn 2, we're going to use Endure to live at 1 HP. He's going to damage himself again. And then because we're faster than him with our Omni Boost, we're going to use Reversal and take out the Cub Fu on the 3rd turn. Assuming everything goes the way it should. There's a chance on turn 2 that he goes for Focus Energy instead. But he'll typically just go for the kill. And if he does, everything works out perfectly. Like, it's such a cool fight when it works out.
All right. So as long as I am in fact faster, this should work. All right. I'm faster. We did it.
Yeah, that's the other thing is your Cub Fu needs to have a good enough speed in order to outspeed, but we're good here.
Yeah, one of my last runs, my speed was the same as Mustard's Cub Fu, which just meant that it was a 50-50 chance whether or not I was going to go first. All right, so time will be coming up here in a little bit. First, we have to evolve our Cub Fu to Ursafu because that's the name of the category. So our little bear is going to look at this banner, and that's going to turn little bear into big bear. I like Cub Fu's little voice line, but bear. It's very good.
That's great.
Cub Fu is an adorable little Pokemon. The little thing at the end of that fight where he's just like punching the air and stuff is awesome. All right. And once the screen starts fading to black, that is when it's time. So
sounds good.
And time.
Congratulations, C.
Very
Woo.
nice.
Did it. All right. Well, I'm going to move this into my box so I can stick it in Pokemon Home.
So I have a very important question for you. You
All
You
right.
said this was a way to farm shinies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a
That's
shiny
true.
that you're eyeing that you want?
Well, so I know that Aurorus, my favorite Pokemon, is in the next DLC, so I'm specifically holding on to one of these Ursafus to trade for a shiny Aurorus when that drops. Aside from that, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of legendaries and stuff coming too, so I haven't decided what I'm going to use them on. But I have like a Cub Fu and a couple of Ursafus in my Pokemon Home right now, just waiting for me to decide what I need.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Save them for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And as evidenced by this run, you can control the weather. So,
Exactly.
all right.
Oh, I forgot this.
Yeah.
Look how ridiculous Drizzle's animation out of the ball is.
All right. So both C and Etiquette, thank you for being on Testing Grounds tonight. Do you have any final words for our audience? Any shout outs or anything?
Oh, well, I mean, shout outs to, Etiquette for joining me, helping me with commentary since Etiquette knows way more than I do. And I literally would not have gotten through the run without you since I messed up. And, Pokemon community and just GDQ for having me and stuff. Etiquette, you got any?
Yeah, just thanks for having me. Great run, C.
Thank you.
It was definitely a good showcase. Really shows off the run. Pretty beginner-friendly run, a lot shorter than your average Pokemon run. So if you guys are interested in that, there's a bunch of resources. And yeah, if you guys have any free time this weekend, definitely check out that Pokemon speedrunning marathon over on Pokemon Speedruns TV.
All right. Thank you very much, both of you. And that is actually not it for tonight, because we're going to be having another one of my camera ops volunteers, Konasumi, on running SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated right after this. So we're going to be going to a quick ad break. Again, reminder to everyone, those ad breaks help support Hotfix content along with your subs and your bits. So if anyone has a free Twitch Prime sub laying around or would like to cheer some bits in the channel, we really appreciate that. And we will be right back after this short break. Welcome back, everyone, to Testing Grounds, where we have just finished up a Pokemon DLC run by C Average, and I am joined by another wonderful volunteer to GDQ events, Konasumi. Konasumi, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on. So, right before we get started, just an explanation of what Testing Grounds is a show about showcasing off new games and also the different things that we yeah, it's just showing off new games and the things that have been found recently in those games. You know, if anyone's encouraged, maybe likes this game casually or anything, you know, you can maybe try to join in and learn the game. Try to give away an accessible way for people to, you know, learn about new games. And before we get started into this, just a couple quick announcements. I just want to remind everyone that SGDQ 2020 Online is starting August 16th, and that is just 9 days away. So feel free to go to gamesdonequick.com for more info on the event. And yeah, that'll be a fun time. And with that, Kona, take it away.
Us tonight. My name is Konasumi, and I will be showing you this amazing game, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Just came out a couple months ago, and it's a really fun 3D platformer with a lot of broken speed tech. And we'll be starting off this showcase with a little bit of a glitch exhibition. We'll be going over some of the cool tricks in this game that you'll be seeing during the run, as well as ones that you may not be seeing during the run. And with me, I have my friend Doka, who also runs this game.
Yo, what's up?
Doka will be helping me explain some of the stuff that you'll be seeing during this run. So let's go ahead and begin with the most broken glitch in the entire game. And it allows you to access the final boss at the very start of the game. And for that, I'll be showing you a complete run of any percent, also known as 2 spatulas. We'll be doing that before the 77 spatula run, which is going to show a lot more of the actual game. So we're going to go ahead and load up a new game, and let's get right into it. So it's going to spawn us right in SpongeBob's pineapple at the start of the game, but we're just not going to do anything there. Let's go ahead and go to the chum bucket, shall we? So in this menu here, if you press spacebar and A at the same time, you're using 2 different input methods. Timing is a little bit tricky, but if you do it just right, it'll allow you to take the taxi to Chum Bucket Lab. And that's where we're going to fight the final boss.
It's also worth mentioning that when you get warped to the final boss, the game just straight up gives you both the bubble bowl and the cruise bubble, which is really convenient for this run. Otherwise, it'd be a lot longer than it is.
Yeah, it's very convenient that we get all the abilities we need to defeat this boss right at the start. Runs of this category take less than 2 minutes. That's the current world record. I think it's a 1:30 something. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it's really optimized.
This trick was found only a few hours after the game came out. So it didn't really have much time to get optimized before this was found. And it just completely changed everything. So that was Robot SpongeBob. That was the first phase. And the second phase takes place inside of the robot, where we have to defeat some fuses. We're going to do some cool platforming, if I don't get hit by the robot there. And you win the fight by defeating all of the fuses. I'm going to go ahead and jump off here, carefully timed. Go ahead and get this one. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, this is not the intended way to get down here. You're supposed to go all the way around in a set of completely different platforming challenges with RoboPlankton trying to basically defeat you, and you can just skip all that by jumping down there. There's a death barrier, but it doesn't quite reach out far enough to stop you from just jumping down there.
Right, if you carefully time your jumps, you can get by it. This thing I'm doing here with the cruise bubble, if you press the cruise bubble button at the same time you jump on the trampoline, you can use it. And that allows you to take out one of these fuses in the heart without having to fight Plankton.
Yeah, normally, if you were to just try to instantly send out a cruise bubble without doing that, Plankton would shoot you and cancel your cruise bubble before you actually blew up the fuse, so...
And that's the whole game.
That's the whole run.
That was SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, beaten, I don't know what the exact time is, but that was only a few minutes. And again, that glitch was accomplished by pressing the A button on your controller and the space bar at the exact same time in the level select menu.
And that was found pretty early on, right? Pretty much like right when the game released?
Yeah, it was only a few hours after it came out. Anyway, let's go ahead and showcase some of the tricks you'll be seeing in the run. You'll be seeing a couple of strategies that involve lagging the game intentionally. And we can do this when we have specific types of momentum to exaggerate it and get to places we're not supposed to be. Let's see if I can demonstrate it in this puddle of goo here. So I'm going to try to jump into the goo, and right as I collide with it, I'm going to do a bubble bash. And at the apex of the bubble bash, I'm going to intentionally lag the game by clicking the title bar of the window. And if I do that correctly, I will go soaring into the air. And if you have your angle set correctly, you can get to some really high places. Like, for example, the Jellyfish Rock. You can go at the top of that rock at the very start of the level by doing one of these lag bounces. See if I can demonstrate it here briefly.
And it's interesting here because this strat is actually a variation of a strat that was also found pretty much day one called sponge warping, where basically what Kona said, you touch the goo, and then right after you touch the goo, if you use your bubble stomp, it will basically warp you back to wherever you were last standing. But by lagging at the right time, it basically just greatly multiplies this effect. It is pretty tricky to time, though.
As you can see, I went very, very high into the air right there. There's also a few other things you can use this for, like this move right here, the bubble helmet. If you use the bubble helmet and lag while you're going upwards, you can extend its momentum and its reach by a pretty considerable amount. And I'll be doing that once in the run to get a sock that's out of reach. And you can also jump once into the water here, and with the knockback, you can go ahead and jump that way as well. It's a really cool exploit that's used many times in this run, and which was a very recent discovery, if I recall right.
Yep, lag is a very powerful tool to use in this game.
Yeah, and you can just do it by running the game in windowed mode and clicking on the title bar whenever you want to lag. And it is possible to map it to a controller via the Steam controller configuration menu if you don't want to reach for your mouse and keyboard all the time. That's what I'm doing, and it's perfectly acceptable for leaderboard use. Okay, so that's lag strats. The last thing I want to showcase before we get into the run is a cool trick that I unfortunately will not be doing in this run. It's in the Murmular Ballroom. I'm going to go ahead and load one of my save files here that has it. If you played this game, either the Rehydrated version or the original, you likely remember this part. It's a giant Rube Goldberg machine, and you have to time your movements perfectly to get the ball rolling all along this course to the very end without it falling off. But if I do this trick correctly, I'll be able to get the ball into the launcher over there at the very start. Just gonna do a bubble bowl into here. Gonna align myself with the floor and wait for the right moment. Ah, no, that was not it. Gonna go ahead and try that again. The timing for this one is really precise. Align myself with the tiles on the floor. Yeah, that had the velocity, but not enough distance. And this is a really important discovery because this would take a long time to complete casually. Oh, was that it? Oh, that was really close. That was very, very close.
One thing that actually makes this trick more precise than it needs to be is the fact that the little platform with the fan that you're normally supposed to be at or go to at the end and release the ball, if the ball happens to land on that, it actually will just despawn immediately. So if it lands there, you just instantly fail as well. Another thing that can happen is that the ball can land on the tilting platform at the end there, but it can actually roll off as well, so...
Oh, that felt really good. Oh, and it rolled off. That was slightly too strong. All right, I'll try this out a few more times, but you can see that you have enough momentum to get the ball into that launcher. You just have to be really on point with your aim and the timing of your bubble helmet. Oh, that time I didn't even hit it. But yeah, normally you'd have to spin this thing around and get this spoon to come down. It's actually a pretty fun level.
It is quite long though, and it can be very frustrating if you mess it up near the end and have to do it all from the beginning.
All right, I will give it a few more tries before moving on.
Yeah, while you're doing this, do you want to explain maybe, why you decided to run this game?
That's a really good question. I loved playing the original when I was a kid. I've always been a huge fan of SpongeBob, and I had the original on PS2 and I loved it. I loved licensed TV games from that time. And around 2013, 2014, I noticed this game had a bit of a speedrunning scene, and I was really interested in that. And a few years later, I actually started to run the original, and I had a really fun time with that. And I was very excited for Rehydrated to come out because of how much I enjoyed the original. What made you want to run this game, Doka?
For me personally, it was just the fact that I've always been a fan of the original speedruns, but for me it was also kind of hard to get into at the same time because in order to be competitive in that game you need an original Xbox. So I figured with the remaster with Rehydrated coming out, I'd just wait for that to come out and try it out for myself, see where it went.
Yeah, the original and Rehydrated, they're totally different runs.
Like
Ah,
one
that
thing...
one went in. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Congrats.
So after this part, you'd have to go up here and put a bubble bowl into that windmill. Otherwise, the ball is just going to fall right out and you have to do all over again. But that's a strat that many of the top players use, and it makes this level a lot shorter than normal. And with that, I think that's about it for the glitch exhibition. We'll be ready to start a full run shortly.
Sounds good. All right, yeah, we're just going to go to, a very quick break, just so that we can update the overlays and stuff. Just a reminder, do you want to tell us where we can find you? While we go to this break, maybe people can go check you out.
Yeah, sure. I do live streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/KonaSumi. I also have a Twitter I post sometimes on at KonaSumiSR. Those are the two main ways to find me. And I love streaming platforming games like this as well as driving games.
All right. So yeah, we will be back shortly. Stay tuned. We're just going to run a couple quick ads as well, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Testing Grounds, where Kona just showed us some tips and tricks about SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. So we're going to be getting into this run now, and Kona's going to be showing off, actually in that exhibition he showed off any percent. But we're going to be, sitting tight a little bit longer with some SpongeBob. We're going to be showing off 77 spatulas. Before we get into that, I just want to remind everyone to go to gamesdonequick.com if you want to find out about SGDQ 2020 online. It's just happening in just over a week, so be sure to check that out. And yeah, I'll just hand it over to Kona because you are, getting ready for this run, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
Thank you. I'm very excited as well. So yeah, you just saw a bunch of the cool glitches and tricks. Some of them I'll be doing in this run, and 77 Spatula is going to show off a lot more of the game. It's going to be a really fun watch. So let's go ahead and do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So similar to the true any %, we spawn in SpongeBob's house and we're gonna warp out immediately. You can just warp over to Patrick at the very start and leave the pineapple instantly. Normally you'd have to go around to collect a bunch of shiny objects, which is the game's main currency. It serves as mainly a tutorial stage, and it takes maybe about 1.5 minutes, if that, to beat. And we're gonna go right into Jellyfish Fields. So this is the first chapter of the game you have access to. It's very pretty. The remaster of this game definitely improved the graphics quite a bit. Made an Unreal Engine 4. So right there, I just collected a sock. That is one of the secondary collectibles of the game. Patrick put his socks all across Bikini Bottom. And if we collect a certain amount of them, we'll be able to turn them in and exchange them for spatulas. And we'll be doing that a couple times in this run.
Yeah, you can sort of think of the socks as like the blue coins from Mario Sunshine, where if you get 10 blue coins, you get a shine. In this game, if you get 10 socks, you get a spatula. And a lot of the socks that we collect in this are either completely free or just very short detours off the route we're already taking. So it does end up being worth it to grab a handful of those.
Yeah, there's a few cool sequence breaks you can do here. I did one to get on Jellyfish Rock a little bit earlier. There's an invisible wall I have to spin around.
Yeah, there are a lot of
over this gap here.
There are a lot of invisible walls placed around this area to try and stop you from doing that, but funnily enough, you can just either jump around them or on top of them.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about the remake that's different, there's a lot more invisible walls. The original did not have so much.
We have a question in chat about the language. It seems like, you have Japanese on. Is there a particular reasoning?
No, not really. The language does not have any influence on the length of dialogue or text boxes. I just have it on because I really like the Japanese dub, and I'm really used to hearing the English voices. This game was dubbed in a variety of languages, by the way. I believe there's 6 or 7 dubbed languages you can listen in, which is really cool. That's a difference from the original. So it's really cool. It's accessible to people who speak additional languages. So at this part, I just had to go around and take out a bunch of switches, and those give me some platforms to access so we can save Patrick. It is possible to bypass that part by doing a carefully timed jump from that platform right there, but unfortunately, I'm not too consistent with it. So now that we're Patrick, here's another little exploit we're gonna do. We're gonna warp back to SpongeBob's pineapple, or we're gonna be Patrick. You're not supposed to be Patrick here, but if you warp around as a character, you'll be able to keep them in whatever area you go to. So
and
now
that's
I'm
not
gonna
really
warp outside.
That's not really a normal thing. Like a lot of the warps in the this game for each of the areas changes your character to whatever character would be best suitable for that specific spatula, but there are a handful of spatulas in this game that you can warp to that don't actually change your character. One of which will be used a lot later in a very broken manner.
So that was Squidward's house. We got a pretty short spatula and a sock there by destroying everything in his house. We're gonna finish up Bikini Bottom here in just a moment, and then we're gonna go right into downtown, the second chapter of the game. We'll be coming back to Jellyfish Fields a little bit later. We're gonna be hopping around the world as the run progresses and as we unlock more abilities. So one thing I really like about this game is that oftentimes there's going to be a world-specific collectible you have to get. In this one, it's steering wheels for the boats. So here, I'm going to go ahead and do some grinding as well as push down these buttons here. That's going to give us a spatula.
Funny thing about this spatula is that normally you're supposed to be meant to have the cannon that's in the background that's shooting sinks hit all of the thunder tikis to blow them up, but you can actually just reach them with a bash and blow them up instantly.
Yeah, it makes it a lot faster that way. Here, I'm gonna grab a suck and carefully platform up this building and go across here. And shortly, we're gonna be introduced to Sandy. We'll be playing as Sandy for a bit. Sandy is by far the most broken character in this game. There's a lot of cool things you can do with her moveset. And we'll be showing one of those off very, very shortly. Essentially, infinite hovering and very, very high jumps are possible with Sandy. So I'm going to grab the ledge, and at that exact moment, I'm going to do the lasso. And you just store the lasso when you do that. And I can just glide right along over there. Normally, you'd have to go through a series of platforming in downtown to get to that point. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. It's wonderful.
Yep, Infinite Lasso is definitely one of the most broken aspects of this game. And there are a few actually caveats to the movement that you have with Infinite Lasso. So normally when you get Infinite Lasso, you have access to one jump and one descend, but you don't actually normally get access to that descent unless you reground yourself. So you're going to see Kono, like once he gets into the Infinite Lasso state, walk off of the ledge he grabbed and then back on so that it actually lets him descend. Normally you'd just be able to jump and then you fly off into space, but you reground yourself, you get the ability to descend once. And it's actually pretty, you have to be pretty careful with what you do with that, because if you use your descent and then get knocked up into the air, you can just fly up into space with you being able to do nothing about it. So you do have to be mindful of what you do when you are in the state.
And thanks to that, we were able to get past the rooftops part pretty quickly. This part here, it's kind of like a mini game. You have to take out all of these duplicatortrons as well as the robots they produce. And at the end of this, you'll get a spatula.
If you already know where all the duplicatortrons are, you can kind of just fall onto them and break them before they spawn any robots for pretty much all the floors.
Right, they spawn in the same place every time. I also unintentionally did something cool there. I hit the shot that the robot threw at me, and it hit him instead.
I did not know you could do that.
I didn't know you can do that with the jellyfish wand. All right, looks like I'm slightly short on shiny objects, so I'm gonna take a brief detour and grind for a moment. I have to have 2100 shiny objects in order to access the Sea Needle. Sea Needle has some cool bungee challenges there. Having the right amount of shiny objects is really important. Later on, we're gonna actually spend a few minutes and grind for some in Jellyfish Fields. All right, now let's go back to this point in downtown and head our way over to the Sea Needle. For the Sea Needle, we're gonna do most of it in a very unintentional way. So normally the game would expect you to play as SpongeBob here, but instead we're gonna play as Sandy. And I'll explain why once we get to a certain point. I'm just gonna go around the perimeter here and get the socks and wheels that are in these hallways, all while avoiding the attacks of the robots. So in this level, we're gonna be very careful to collect all of the wheels because we're gonna use that for a glitch coming up pretty soon. It's the only time where we intentionally get all of the world-specific collectibles normally. So here I'm gonna stand on this window, kick this button, and activate the platform for that spatula. You'd have to come back here much, much later with a certain ability in order to access this. So instead of being SpongeBob and doing the bungees, I'm just gonna go down here as Sandy and attempt to take them all out just with the combat.
It's actually very fortunate that you're able to do this because the bungee controls in this game are absolutely terrible and a lot worse than they were in the original. And it's a lot harder to control, so it's really good that we're able to do this.
Oh yeah, that didn't count.
Yeah, another thing about this spatula too, as well, is that normally you're expected to go to the 3 other parts of the Sea Needle where there are bungee hooks available and bungee all of the tikis there, but you can actually just do the same one 3 times and it'll count it. It doesn't actually check for the 3 specific bungees. It just checks if you've broken all of the tikis 3 times.
Yeah, thankfully that works out in favor of speedrunning. You just do the same one over and over again.
Yeah, because this first one's a lot faster than the other 2.
I was not able to get it. If you have Mr. Krabs talk to you at the same time you grab the spatula, the animation looks pretty funny.
Yeah, you just sort of slide around in the spatula animation.
So we're gonna go back to Jellyfish Fields as Sandy, which is completely not intentional. Oh, I forgot to get the other box. I'll have to go down to slide again.
Yeah, normally Sandy is not even supposed to be available in this area.
Yeah, usually you'll only have access to 1 or 2 characters at a time. We'll go ahead and get the box here for safety. The boxes are pretty cool. It allows you to warp around to different parts of the level. They're usually placed at the start and the end of the level or a certain area. So for this, I'm gonna store the lasso and we're gonna catapult ourselves off of this slide and go flying into the canyon here.
That's an interesting aspect about having Infinite Lasso and using it with the slide speed, since the slides in this game give you speed until you touch the ground again. That's not a slide. But with Infinite Lasso, you never touch the ground, so you basically get to keep that speed until you touch the ground.
Yeah,
That's
it's
incredible.
such a cool trick. I love this. So we're gonna go around to this part of the caves, which is thankfully accessible by going through that hole there. And the spatula is right here.
And back there, Kona actually used the rock to stop his upward momentum. And that's actually really clever because the thing about Infinite Lasso with the slide speed is that if you start descending at any time normally, you just lose all of your speed right on the spot. But if you use the collision to stop your upward momentum, you can just keep it and fly to the end at higher speeds.
So now I've warped back to downtown, and I'm going to get the 2 remaining wheels and go back to Mrs. Puff and get the spatula. Thankfully, I have enough momentum to get over there. Usually with Sandy's lasso, the hover only lasts for a few seconds before you drop down. So normally, when you're playing the game casually, you have to carefully time that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go back to Bikini Bottom and talk to Patrick. So like I said before, Patrick has a bunch of socks you have to find, and you can turn them in exchange for golden spatulas if you have enough. So for every 10 socks you have, you'll get 1 golden spatula. Just gonna make sure I have enough, and I do.
And
We're
we
about to
actually
see the very first boss fight.
Did we actually get that sock spatula so early just to meet the requirements for this boss fight? Because normally it'd be faster to get them all at once and stack the spatulas, but in this case it's faster not to.
So this is Robot Sandy, and we're in a giant arena in the Poseidome. This fight is very fast-paced. Does not take very long to beat compared to the original. That was quite a big difference compared to that. The original fight was much slower than this.
Definitely a welcome change there.
Certainly. So for the second phase, we're playing as Patrick, and we have to go ahead and throw Sandy's head into the exposed wiring here. We'll do that a few times. One thing I really like about the boss fights here is that it's always split up into phases, with the exception of Robot SpongeBob. And for each phase, you play as a different character. And there's a different or slightly different objective you have to do. Helps keeps things interesting. I got hit. There is a way to manipulate the robot Sandy to attack sooner by having her swing at you, but I've not been very consistent with that lately. But yeah, besides for the manipulations you can do, you're just kind of playing the fight casually, more or less. Later in the run, you'll actually be seeing a way to completely skip one of the later boss fights. And that's going to be involving one of the lag strats that I was talking about in the glitch exhibition.
And that's sort of an interesting aspect of the routing aspect of this game, because as established earlier in the glitch exhibition, the final level, when you warp to it, gives you all of the powers, so you don't actually need to complete either of the boss fights. However, in this case, even though Robo Sandy is a lot faster, she still ends up being one of the slower spatulas in the run, but the power that you get for beating Robo Sandy is more than worth the time it takes. It saves a lot of time throughout the rest of the run. That power being the bubble bowl, of course.
Yeah, the bubble bowl is especially important. This is like a little mini game. We have to take out all of the robots before the timer runs out. It can be done pretty fast. And you get a pretty quick spatula. You can also see that model is a reference to the show. You can see SpongeBob looking like that when he's in Sandy's Tree Dome without a helmet. This game has a lot of really cool references to the show. So this is Goo Lagoon. Goo Lagoon is a really fun level, and I will be doing a lag strat pretty shortly here. That's gonna completely change how the level's been played. We're essentially gonna do the entire thing backwards. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on these towers here. There's a reflector in each of them, and I have to rotate them in a very certain fashion to take out that robot on top of the boxes over there. So I'll just go ahead and do that, and then get ready for the lag.
Yeah, it's really amazing that there's another way to do Goo Lagoon backwards in this game, like in the original, but just through different means.
Yeah, that's so cool, isn't it? The original was like the same way in that fashion. You just did the whole thing backwards. But instead of a lag strat, you did what was called a sponge glide, which is one of my favorite names for any trick in speedrunning. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for it. Make sure I get the checkpoint and get the cursor at the top of the window. All right, that was not quite it. Ooh, that's perfect. Perfect. That's really good. Perfect positioning,
nice.
perfect angle there.
Yeah, that was really fast. Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised I got that.
That was very excellent execution.
So here, this island here, you're not supposed to access it until way later in this world, but since we do, we can switch over to Patrick and do the pier backwards.
Yeah, this is normally meant to be like the very last thing you can get to. Once you get to the end of Goo Lagoon Pier, you just can come here and get the last tower.
So here we gotta be SpongeBob for a bit. Gonna get two spatulas that are pretty nearby. One of them is gonna be along this slide here. There's a cool little death warp you can do on this one. I'm gonna try to go for it, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it. I'm gonna jump off here early. Ah, and I got it. Sick. So that shortens the animation, the spatula grab animation.
Yeah, a funny little thing about that spatula there is that in the original game, normally to get it, you did the same thing, but you went all the way around the other way of the slide. But since you can go both ways in this game, what happens is they actually put a Hans barrier there that makes it so Hans grabs you if you try to do it like you do in the original. But funnily enough, you can just do it in reverse and there's no hand barrier on the other side. It's just kind of funny.
It's really fascinating how some strats in this game are really similar to the ones in the original.
Yeah, that's definitely
the way the remake
something
was done. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely something people ask about a lot. Is that are there any parallels between strats in this game and strats in the original? And while the answer is mostly no, there are some that are. And just in general, a lot of the routing concepts can be applied to both games, like, as we saw earlier, being able to do Goo Lagoon backwards and a lot of other levels backwards will save time in both games.
So that was the caves. We just got that spatula instantly. And since I have the spatula, I can warp to the very start and keep progressing through Goo Lagoon backwards.
Yeah, and you do want to enter this the caves as Patrick, because if you don't, that Gary dialogue that appeared right when Kona entered will actually drag you all the way back to the front of the caves, which is where you would want to go after you get the spatula, but you definitely want to grab it first.
So here, there's a button on the other side of this here. You can see it in the very corner of the screen if I can position it right. That gray box. And I have to launch a bubble bowl all the way from up here. And I can do that using some visual cues.
Yeah,
I got it. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And this is one of the many reasons why the bubble bowl is just so worth getting in this route.
Yeah, so I hit that shot all the way from across the map, and that allows this spatula to be obtained. We're just about to finish up Goo Lagoon. Just gotta talk to our friend Larry. So I'm about to do something called a CCA. Do you want to explain what that is, Doka?
Okay, basically what CCA is, the long and short of it is, you transfer the collectible counter of one area to another. So the reason why you would at least want to get 6 wheels is because that's the maximum amount of level collectibles that there are in any of the other given levels. But at that point, we just get the rest of the wheels anyways, because they're fast. But essentially what you do is you warp to downtown, and that sets your collectible counter to 11. And when you warp back to any of the other areas that have level collectible counters, it'll think that you've already collected them all when you clearly haven't. A very big oversight.
So in the Poseidon fight, I mentioned that we're able to skip a boss fight by doing a lag strat. We're gonna do that right now using this fountain. So there's a big invisible wall covering up this entire portion here. You're not able to bypass it normally. There was a few alternative strats you can use, like wall jumping up here, going all the way up top and navigating across the top of the invisible wall, but this is extremely faster. If I can get this.
Yeah,
it's
these
the same
lag
way
warps,
as the other lag strats.
these lag warps can be a bit tricky to time though, so.
Yeah, the timing is really, really precise. Yeah, I gotta be careful not to die in the water like that. I can do it if I do the bubble bowl out of order.
No, wait, I know I had actually asked this on your stream, but you are in water. That is not actually water, right?
It is not. It's actually goo. Which explains why SpongeBob can't swim in it. It can definitely be mistaken for water, but as explained in one of the signs in Jellyfish Fields we didn't see, it is goo.
The deep lore of SpongeBob.
Yeah, this game is very faithful to the show. There's a lot of cool references to old SpongeBob episodes here. And one of the idle animations is also the surprise SpongeBob meme face. That was a new addition. That was not in the 2003 original.
And they also gave that one to Patrick as well. Which is another nice touch. Nice reference to the movie.
Yeah, hopefully I can get this soon. Timing is really, really precise. That was almost it, I think.
All right, you can just interrupt me when you do get it, but just want to remind everyone. Oh, there you go. That's all I needed.
But go ahead and say what you want to say because I have to go up to the chum bucket.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone this is Testing Grounds, a show where we like to show off new games. Obviously, this original game came out many, many years ago, but the new Rehydrated version came out just recently. And if anyone, you know, has any ideas of any new games that they'd like to show, you can go to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix to learn about the shows and submit ideas or runs.
So because of the skip we did there, we can access SpongeBob's Dream a little earlier than usual. And there's some really cool stuff done in here. Gotta be really careful with this oil robot, because if it hits you, it'll make you slippery and it's hard to move. Oh, and I did not get the cycle. That's unfortunate.
Oh,
That part there, I was aiming at the trampoline that was closer to me, but it was covered up right before I was ready to land. See if I can get it again this time.
yeah, Dream is a very,
Nice.
very difficult and trick-intensive part of the run. There's pretty much a skip or unintended way to do pretty much every single one of the spatulas here. Just like you saw Kona do with the trampolines. Like normally what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to, at the end of the slide, there is a clam, which you pay to bring up a trampoline that's way down below that lets you access those two trampolines. But you can actually just jump off of the slide straight to those trampolines and completely skip having to pay the clam, which is nice.
So this here is Squidward's Dream. We have to avoid some of the notes here because they are off key. Because of that, they will dissolve if we stand on them for too long. Oh no, and I misjudged that jump. I was right at the checkpoint too. Take note of the handsome Squidwards all across the skybox here.
Take note, you say?
Ooh.
But yeah, the strat Kona just did is actually arguably one of the only, like, quote-unquote, the same strats between this game and the original, in that you can use that trumpet to bounce up lower than you should be able to clearly, and bounce up to a higher layer of the level, which you can do in the original game. So that's like one of the only...
That's a cool secret break.
That's one of the only struts I'd say that's kind of remotely similar.
You may have seen me just teleport there for seemingly no reason. If you stand on that note as it's ready to reset, it'll just teleport you over to a later part of that section. Not sure how that works exactly, but it's definitely convenient. And we're at the end. Did I open the box? Oh, I sure did. Sometimes I forget to do that, and if I don't open the box there, I have to do some menu warping. All right, it looks like I'm a little bit short on shiny objects, so I'm gonna go ahead and grind one more time. But those clams can be bypassed with the oil skip that Doka referenced earlier. It's a really hard trick to do, and unfortunately, I'm not very consistent at it, but it saves a lot of time as well as some additional shiny object grinding.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the hardest tricks that this game has to offer. It takes a lot of practice to get consistent at. Which is also
you
something that you
have
can
to hit like you have
Yeah.
to hit an oil shot at the perfect spot at the perfect time.
Yeah, it's very precise. Which you can also do in the original game, except in this game it's a bit different.
Nice, I got a really good cycle there. You gotta be careful of this one too, as you're making your way over to the spatula. And coming up, you'll see, oh, I died. I got a checkpoint, we're good.
Yeah, thankfully.
You know what? That might have actually saved me time from having to walk.
Oh, nice. I think that actually did.
The
thankfully, there's a
strat.
thankfully there's a checkpoint right there.
Yeah, Patrick's dream, you basically go into the rock and talk to him and he gives you the spatula. Easiest spatula in the whole game right there.
Whoa.
Sandy's dream is really, really cool because you can do something called the fast nut, which is a trick from the original game where you're able to hover your way over to this acorn and grab the spatula. Of course, in the original, you do it in a slightly different way, but the result is like exactly the same. Super cool. And now we're gonna go ahead and glide again off this here and make our way over to the slide.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the really cool things about running the remake is that there are a lot of strats that accomplish the same thing as in the original, but in a different way.
So right now I'm gliding over to this this mansion, and there's a bunch of robots we have to defeat. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out the machine and be very careful as I... Oh, that was nice. Okay. That's gonna save me some time. You have to be really careful here because if you get hit, you risk being flung up into the air. And if you don't react correctly, you'll just fly into space with no way to really stop yourself. Thankfully, that was really good. I got lucky.
Yeah, that was very good. Yeah, that is an area where you have to be mindful of how you use your ability to descend. Because oftentimes, if you react incorrectly, what will happen is you'll descend and then you'll just get hit immediately after and get sent straight up, and you'll have to grab the swingers that are really high up in the air. And if you aren't able to grab those, you just have to do it all over again.
Now we're back in Jellyfish Fields. This part's done a little differently than intended. You're supposed to play as Patrick and throw the robots at these, I'm not sure what these are, these reservoirs. But you can just do it as SpongeBob with the bubble bowl, and it's a lot faster that way. You can do that to get the spatula a little bit earlier. So coming up here is it's the part where we have to grind for a bit. We have to get approximately 8,000 shiny objects to continue without having to grind additionally. So I'm gonna take the tikis up here. You can get a lot of shiny objects from here because it's just a whole big wall of tikis with the duplicator-tron right next to it. And there's also a convenient spot to respawn. It's the fastest known way to grind in this game. Yeah, let's talk about like the game itself for a moment. It's a very faithful remake. I really enjoyed playing it casually as a fan of the original. And because the levels are the same, some of the like sequence breaks you can do that involve the level design, some of them still work. But because the game is remade essentially, stuff like cruise boosting and the shiny duplication glitch in Goo Lagoon, those are not possible in this game. So the communities had to find new ways to bypass that.
So far, I'd say they've done a pretty good job. Like, this game has a lot of unique tricks that are completely different to the original.
Yeah, I've ran both games, and both of those speedruns are totally different. And I enjoyed both. The original was a really intense, a bit more fast-paced because you have the cruise boosting trick that makes you move physically a lot faster. This game is also pretty hard. Some of the lag strats have been difficult for me to do. And the skill ceiling is really high.
It's got to be a good change of pace, though, for you. You know, if you want, you know, a different run, then, you know, you get to play either or.
Right. It's a unique experience. So we're almost done grinding. I have to get 8,000, which I think is going to be about 1 or 2 more respawns. It'll be 1 more. And then after that, things are going to get fun. We're going to do a lag strat. They get to the very top of the canyons in no time at all. So I'm going to aim myself over there. You can see the spatula in the distance. Get my cursor in position, if I can do it. Okay. Ooh, that was almost it. Hopefully this one doesn't take me as long as the industrial park skip. But hey, at least I get more shiny objects. Not really gonna need them, but you never know. Yeah, so for this, it's like two times you have to hit. You have to hit at the right spot when you hit the water, and at the apex of SpongeBob's movement after you do the bubble bash. And thankfully the respawn here is not that far away. Nice. That was perfect positioning. I thankfully did not land in the water like I did in my practice attempts.
Nice.
Also, there is something I want to show. I really want to show this. There's a little Easter egg.
I know what you want to show.
Fish dabbed. The fish dabbed, everyone. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare for another CCA. This one's a little bit different. The only collectible you have to get is 1 king jelly container jelly. And if we do the CCA, we'll be able to get that without beating the boss. But I'm going to the boss, and I'm going to do a really cool lag strat to skip it. Ah, no. I forgot to position my cursor, so it took me a bit more extra time. But yeah, if you are interested in running this game, it's a really, really fun time. Like if you enjoy 3D platformer runs, you'll have fun with this for sure. There's a lot of cool things about it, like that, where I lag with the knockback and I'm just able to go over the shower curtain. And at the end of the slide is going to be the spatula that you get from this boss fight. It is a mini boss, so it's not that very long, but does save a good amount of time. So now I'm going to get ready to give the jelly to Squidward. Coming up next is going to be the Murmelair. The Murmelairs in this game, it's a really cool stage. That was the place where you saw the Rube Goldberg machine skip I did in the glitch exhibition. All right, so now that we have the jellyfish fields done, Let's go ahead and start Shady Shoals. I'm gonna do a quick lag strat to get on top of the building here. Gonna give me a spatula. Yeah, I did not get enough height, so I'm gonna try to get on these windows.
This jump can be pretty tricky to make.
It'll let me.
You need like absolute maximum height and to sort of jump on the right side of the window.
There we go. Yeah, I have to be close to the apex of your jump as possible for that to work. And also, there's a sock.
Yeah, Mermalair is definitely a very interesting level. Even if you don't do the ballroom skip, there's still a lot of interesting tricks that you can use to speed things up.
Now we're in the Mermalair. So here's the entranceway. It kind of has you going around in a loop, but there is a way to bypass that with a little sequence break, which happens to work in the original and the remake. So if I stand on this little bar here, I can just jump to the end. Easy as that. Yeah, there's so much to do in the Mermalair. There's a lot of different sections to it. So here I'm going to do a lag bubble bash to get a sock. Normally that sock exceeds the maximum height you get from the bubble bash, which means you can't get it. But with the lag, anything is possible.
I believe there actually was a way to get that one by standing on top of the electrical things there and damage boosting off of them, but it was really precise and not that many people liked it. I don't even think that many people did it, but now it's much easier, which is nice.
Yeah, it's much easier than the knockback lag tricks, because you just have to lag while you're going up. The window is much larger for that. And you'll notice that I'm respawning after every button I push. That saves me having to walk back a little bit. Gotta be careful of those cannonballs.
Yeah, because this game is timed with a loadless timer, it's actually faster to die in a lot of places because of that. And
yeah, this game has a really nice in-game timer and auto-splitter. Auto-splitter, I don't think it's currently working, but because there was a new patch that came out today, but it's really cool. You can split for a bunch of different variables like spatula count, moving between levels. There's a lot of customization to it. It's really impressive. Community worked really hard on that. So when I was a kid, I didn't really understand this puzzle, but it turns out all you have to do is press each of the buttons once, and that's it. I was expecting it to be a bit of a more complicated. Okay. Yeah, so what I did right there, you can do a cool little sequence break by going off of that slide.
you're just able to make that jump.
Cool little damage boost you can do there by getting hit at the apex of the bubble helmet jump.
And right here is going
Here's
to
a
be
cool thing you can do. Yeah, you can go ahead and explain it if you want.
Yeah, so right here is going to be another interesting use of the bubble bowl. So what you can actually do is, there's a lot of spots in this game where you can actually throw the bubble bowl and it'll get stuck. And because of this, you can actually jump on top of the bubble while it's stuck. And if you throw it right, you'll get a lot of vertical momentum from that. And you can use that to jump up here and skip that security tunnel completely.
Yeah, that strat's going to be used in a few different parts of the run. It's really convenient. It makes the security tunnels go by a lot faster. Hey, this looks familiar. Unfortunately, this level is not in the route that I use. I can't get the early finish consistently. But I do go over here to get a sock. Probably not the most efficient sock, but I do like going for it. And a pretty easy spot for me to remember. And we can just move on normally. There's nothing stopping you from progressing. You can skip this part and come back later if you want. All right. There is a chance that you can soft lock there.
Yeah, that was very scary.
I was sweating.
I thought it was about to happen, dude.
I was extremely careful. Yeah, if you soft lock there, there's nothing you can do. It's over.
Yeah,
So
you're
you have to
basically
be
locked out of
really,
two
really
spatulas. That actually locks you out of two spatulas, not just the one from the computer, because it locks you out of prawn as well.
Yeah, that would require a pretty substantial on-the-fly reroute. Yeah, if you're playing this it happened to many players casually. I'm not sure if it's been patched or not. There was a new patch that went out today, and I didn't review the patch notes very thoroughly.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if it's patched either. And it actually did, funny thing, it actually happened to one of my friends in his casual playthrough.
Yeah, I same here. I know someone who got stuck on that part and had to redo it. And that means you can't 100% the game either. So if you're doing a 100% run and that happens, it's over. There's no rerouting that can save the run there. But yeah, the prawn boss fight is simple. You just throw the balls down the lane whenever the tiles stop changing. All right, so now we did prawn. Looks like we're about to go to rock bottom.
Rock bottom's another level that has a lot of cool usage of the tricks in it.
Yeah, there's some really fun stuff we do here. Gotta be careful of that robot at the start, because if you get in that proximity zone, it'll damage you and give you some knockback. So I'm gonna do something cool with the sponge ball here. Sponge ball allows you to roll around at pretty extreme speeds, and we're going to use that to our advantage. Or not. Oh no. Hit by the robot. No. You get hit by the robot there, you lose all of your momentum and you get kicked out of the sponge ball. Thankfully, there's another one nearby. Oh no. I almost had the height for that. Let's go ahead and try that again.
Yeah, the sponge ball is very useful for certain situations in this game. It's a lot faster than it was in the original.
There we go. Yeah, in the original game, the SpongeBob was a bit harder to control, and it also moved a little bit slower. The steering's a lot tighter, and it's nice to control. Anyway, this is the museum. We're gonna do some pretty cool stuff here. We're playing as Sandy, and first we have to take out all of these little machines here, shooting out electricity. Oop, can't hit the laser. Oh, is it gonna go away? Oh no. Yeah, this stage has some really cool lasso glides we use. Help speed the level up considerably. And also, there's some really cool art in this museum. If you play the game casually, I would highly recommend having a look through here. There's some really cool stuff. I think we'll be able to get a good look at Bold and Brash. Fans of the show would certainly appreciate that. Yeah, here it is. It's right here. Beautiful. So right here, there's a bunch of lasers, but you can just walk through it. Doesn't extend out all the way.
Yeah, it just so happens that the right side of this laser wall just straight up does not exist. It's just not there. Like the collision for it. It's pretty funny. All right, so now that the museum's done, we're gonna go back outside and we're gonna do kind of the rest of the level backwards, mostly. Some really cool routing in this. So we're gonna switch over to Sandy, and I'm gonna prepare for another lasso glide right over here. And I have to be really careful of these 3 robots, because if they hit me, it's possible that it'll really mess up the trick. Nice. That's kind of a hard one for me to get. I'm shocked I got that first try. Yeah, since we have infinite hovering, we can just kind of glide our way over here, grab the spatula, and go all the way across and start doing this chapter backwards. This level looks so cool. It's definitely one of my favorite levels visually in this remaster. I think it looks pretty good.
All right, so now we're gonna warp over to... Okay, yeah, so now I do the slide. Had to reference my notes for a moment. Yeah, Mr. Krabs is here. And if you complete the slide in a certain time limit, you get a spatula. Fortunately for us, there's a pretty cool sequence break you can do about halfway through the slide, which almost guarantees you being able to beat the clock almost every time. So at this point here, you're gonna get ready to jump off the slide. Gonna land on here and make your way over to the spatula. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and switch over to Sandy. Sandy has some pretty cool platforming sections in this. So I'm going to go over here, get the sock, and then do what's called an lasso stalling. This trick was possible in the original and allows you to get immense height from these they're pretty much hook shots. you can grab onto them and swing yourself across gaps. But if you just spam and let go of the lasso, you can get some really amazing height from it.
Yeah, normally you're expected for this to hit a button that's in the area where you do the laser spatula by in an area down like close to the bottom by a sock. And what that does is it spawns a swinger in for you to use, but you can just use that and skip having to hit that button entirely.
So at this point, there are 3 lasers we have to activate. We can do that just by swinging across here and pushing the buttons.
But yeah, down there by that sock is the button that spawned the swinger for the how in tarnation you get there spatula.
So here after the last laser, we're gonna do something pretty cool. We're gonna death warp over back to the beginning. It's gonna be a cutscene that plays, but we can just go ahead and skip that. Gonna wait a little bit and then jump down. And right after that's over, we should spawn right next to Plankton and get the spatula. All we have to do now is get the CCA per puff. And again, that works because we got all the painting or all the wheels in downtown, and that value just carries over to the other world-specific collectibles. If you go into downtown and then go immediately to where you want to redeem it. So it says we have all the paintings, even though we just got like, I think 1 or 2 in reality. Ones that were just kind of along the way there. This next level here is one I'm really, really excited to show everyone. Kelp Forest. Kelp Forest is, it's completely broken. We're gonna do the entire thing backwards. And what's cool about that is because the original was like that too. It's slightly different, of course, in the way you do it, but it's still possible. So if you just do some platforming along the vines and that taxi sign, you can just go right up here. And you can go ahead and do Mermaid Man slide immediately. So this one has a bit of a unique setup. I'm going to accept the time challenge, switch characters, and then accept it again. And then I'm going to go take the box down to the finish line, which takes no time at all, and get the spatula.
Yeah, normally when you accept the time challenge and try to take the box, it just instantly fails you. But for whatever reason, switching characters just does not cause that to happen anymore. Like, you're not supposed to be able to do it like this.
There's a few of these slide challenges in the game, and fortunately, you can get 2 spatulas per slide. The slide and the ones in Sand Mountain are like this. It's really cool. You get 2 spatulas for 1 objective, pretty much. So because we were going backwards, we're able to get the spatula at the very end of the caves first. And now we can get this one immediately. Usually you'd have to do a puzzle to access this one, but nope. Speaking of puzzles, I do have to do this part semi-intentionally to get the spatula because it's locked up in a cage. The only way to get it is to... Wow, my input just dropped. Oops. Let's try that again.
Oh no.
I'm pretty sure it's like interference with my controller. I have it over wireless at the moment. One thing I forgot to do that you can do is use that teleport box to save a few seconds, because the other one's right here. So if you took that teleport box, you'd just be able to save a few seconds and not have to walk as far.
Yeah, for some reason this timed objective doesn't fail you when you use a box without switching characters, but most of the other ones do. Not sure why that works or how it works, but yeah.
We're almost done with Kelp Forest, everyone. Took hardly any time at all. It's like a 4 or 5 minute chapter and you get like almost all the spatulas for it. Thankfully, there's also a Mrs. Puff objective here, and we can just go ahead and use the CCA to do it instantly. There's a bunch of campers around the kelp forest that you have to find, and that can take a bit of time because some of them are kind of out of the way. One of them is over there, I think. Not sure how I'm doing on socks, so I'm gonna get a few of these to be safe. Yeah, these socks are everywhere, so if you ever miss one or want to use a different route, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm just getting a few extra just to be safe. Thanks for all the campers you returned. All right, so that was Kelp Forest. Didn't last very long, but it's a really fun level to speedrun. Up next is an area you're probably familiar with if you like the show, especially the first few seasons of SpongeBob. It's Sand Mountain. Sand Mountain's a lot of fun. Yeah, and Sand Mountain's a little bit different. There's a bunch of time trials you can do. Do I have enough? I sure do. Awesome. I think here I can do, if I can do this. I'll try it out a few times, but I know there's a lag strat you can do to get on top of the lodge pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's just a lag bash right there, followed by a spin to get up there.
I'll try it a few more times, because I'm really curious if I could do it. Won't spend too much time on it though. Oh, sick. I didn't even have to spin. There are other ways you can do that. There's a bit of geometry you can stand on the roof. Wait, did I only get one sock there? I thought you get two.
Oh, you skipped the thing too early. Like, you have to wait for the you to collect the sock in the cutscene and then skip it, and then you get two.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's something I should have been more careful about. But I'll be able to, I'm sure I can figure out a sock to get later.
Yeah, I think you're fine on socks right now.
Yeah, I love these these sliding stages. There's some really, really cool shortcuts you can take on these tracks. You also get some pretty good shiny objects along the way. You can also see some advertisements for the various locations at Bikini Bottom. So at the end of every slide, there's kind of a, you have to like fight off these robots and hit these two buttons. and that will allow you to get past the gate and collect the spatula. And because we accepted Mrs. Puff's time challenge, you can just go ahead and get the spatula for that. Okay, so it looks like I am moving on to Flying Dutchman now. I had to reference my notes for a moment. Yeah, Flying Dutchman. It's such a cool level. We're gonna do another one of those cool, extreme lag strats. Also, there is a sock in the dumpster. Yeah, I only have 24 socks, which I think is kind of low.
I think you might have forgotten to grab the one under the bridge.
Oh, I sure did. I'll have to go back for that one. But this is the Flying Dutchman's graveyard. It's such a cool looking level. So right over here, there's a ship that's partially submerged under the goo. And I'm gonna try to go for it. I'm not sure if I'll get it. There's a lag strat you can do. Making sure my cursor is in the right spot. Nice. That's so cool. That saves you from having to cruise boost on the thing. There's a little latch you have to cruise boost, and that shuts off the goo. But you don't have to do that.
Yeah, before what we actually used to do there was we found out that you're actually able to close the hatch with any like sort of quote-unquote player damage. So what we actually did before is we used the bubble bowl and did a trick shot off of the ship that you jumped off of and hit the hatch with a bubble bowl shot, and that closed the hatch and allowed you to get the spatula. A pretty cool strat as well.
I just slid on nothing. There's a slide that appears there later. It has the collision from the start, but the model isn't loaded in. So if you know where it is, you can just slide down it. It's so cool. All right, here comes the lag strat. The goal is to get up to the very top of that ship over there in the distance. Oh, am I gonna fall? Yeah. Oh, that was close. The height was good, but not the
Oh
angle.
man, that's just barely not it. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah. I'll try aiming a little more to the left this time and see how that works. Okay, this will be fine. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Oh, that's so cool. But I'm not going to grab the spatula here right away. I want to backtrack a little bit. Make sure I get that box. Instead, we're going to go ahead and do a bungee. It's going to cost a lot of shiny objects, but it's worth it. So after this, I'll be able to warp back to the start of this area and then just take the box and grab the spatula and move on. So that in particular saves a lot of time. Navigating this area takes much longer than that. So having that lag strat available is a welcome thing.
Yeah, what we used to do before is like at the very beginning, there's actually a part of a ship that you could jump on and sequence break basically half of the area. And even with that, it saves a huge chunk of time, just to give an idea of how much time it takes to get through that area normally.
This is kind of a new thing. We're going to use the bubble bowl here. Oh, that worked. This one is kind of precise, this last one. I was not able to get it in practice, but if it works correctly, I'll be able to get all the way up there. It's not that far up, but at the top there will be a spatula I can grab. I'll give it a good try, but my hopes aren't very high for it.
Yeah, this is a pretty precise trick. And it's a little different from the bubble bowl shots you've seen earlier where the ball gets stuck. Instead, the concept behind this strat is that you get the bubble bowl stuck momentarily and then you try to jump, which pushes it up. And then as you jump, you want to land on it so that you get upward momentum from it as you land on it.
I'll give it a few more tries, but as you can see, it's not very successful. You need a lot of upward momentum for it to work, and it has to be in just the perfect spot. And I don't think there's a very consistent visual cue for this one, unfortunately.
Yet. So this is testing grounds. If anyone's interested in trying to find a consistent setup.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was super hyped there.
Yeah, great job.
That's definitely not an easy trick.
All right, so up next, I'm gonna take out the... Well, actually, wait, I think I have it mixed up. Yeah, I do, okay. I got the one for the lasers, right? Now I just have to get the one for the cannons. There's 2 spatulas you can get here. And that is the Flying Dutchman. So all that's left to do now, we're gonna go back to Mr. Krabs in Bikini Bottom, do some cleanup here, get some sock spatulas, and I think I will have to go back and find some socks. But after that, it's final boss time. See if I have enough. So 71, and then I need 3 from Patrick. Wow, I am really short on spatulas.
Oh man.
I'm missing 6.
Oh, there's one in Patrick's house that you can grab.
Yeah, so that's one. I know one in Goo Lagoon that I missed because it's not in my route. I'll go ahead and grab that.
There's the one under the bridge by Mrs. Puff's slide that I think you forgot to grab as well.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick. And there's another one in Goo Lagoon Caves as well that I can quickly get. So I think this can work.
I think you can get 2 there actually. There's the one in the water and the one on the cliff above.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're totally right.
That's probably why you're short so many socks. I'm betting you probably got those in the route before since they were fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna return there to grab those real quick.
Yeah. Seems like we're figuring this out. I appreciate the help a lot, Doka. Helping me determine where all these socks are.
I've definitely been there before.
It's easy to miss socks in this game, especially if you're not too experienced with the route.
Yeah, that's just showcasing off one aspect of a great community. You know, people there able to help you if you need it.
Yeah. All right, so that's 28. Where's the other one that I was thinking of?
The 2 in the cave should be able to finish it off, I think.
In Goo Lagoon? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's part of the caves I suppose you didn't get to see in the run. There's the water that goes up and down, and the cycle can be pretty annoying at times if it's not lined up perfectly. So I'm gonna get this sock here for 29. And then my 30th sock is going to be right here. Perfect. Thanks, Doka.
Yeah, I got you.
Here's a little trick you can do. You can just talk to Patrick 3 times, spawn 3 spatulas, and get them all at once.
Yep, that saves quite a bit of time actually, since you skip 2 spatula animations effectively, which are like, I think 5 seconds each. About, more or less.
So now it's time for the final boss. We're gonna get one more spatula in here. And then it's time to defeat Plankton twice. The second time in this this showcase. This fight is going to be the same as before. It doesn't change depending on what category you're playing. So you'll be seeing most of the same stuff again in terms of overall strategy. Yeah, again, I want to give a big shout out to the community for finding so many amazing strats. They've been working really hard on getting this game to where it is now. If you like SpongeBob and you like 3D platformers, I think this would be a great pick for you.
I'd just like to point out that it's actually like amazing to me just how far this game has been pushed in the very short amount of time that it's been out. This game has not been out that long, but it's already been pushed so far, and that's just amazing to me.
Yeah. Like, the trick to go to the final boss at the very start of the game, that was found like, I don't know, 4 hours after it came out.
Definitely a very early discovery.
Someone messaged me and told me about it. I was like, wait, what? Is this a joke? But no, it was real. So yeah, the goal is to take out all of the fuses, and that's it. Oh, I forgot to do the cruise bubble on that one. That's okay. This one's not that much slower. All you gotta do is just jump down here in that case, and I can't steer it.
I guess one final detail to mention before the run's finish is that in this version of the game, you actually do have to hit every single fuse, not just the 3 in the brain. So that's why we actually break the ones that aren't inside the brain itself, because unlike in the original, getting the 3 in the brain doesn't just end the game right there. You actually need to get every single one in this version.
Yeah, in the original, that was certainly not the case. Time's going to be coming up, by the way, in about 25 seconds-ish. We are almost done. Does this work? Oh, it does. Cool. That would have been cool had I launched it at the right time. All right. Get ready on time. That's time.
Congratulations.
That was a run of... Thank you. That actually went pretty well. I'm really happy with how that went. What was the final time on that?
Looks like you got a 122.52.
Pretty good for RTA. I don't know what the in-game time is because my auto splitter has not been working for some reason.
No.
Oh.
That's okay.
It's okay. This game's new. You'll get a better time anyways.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of room to improve in the PB I do have.
Yeah, congratulations, Kona. While we, kind of watch the end of the game here, do you have any final shout-outs, about the community and where people can find you?
Yeah, like I said, the original community and the Rehydrated community, like they've done so much to help make this game what it is. It's amazing how far it's come. There's so many fun tricks and things to do in this game. It's such a fun game to run. I'm really happy to play it. And yeah, if you want to watch more of my streams, you can find me at twitch.tv/Konasumi. I do play this game sometimes, as well as some driving games, and it's a lot of fun. I also want to thank GDQ for having me tonight. Had a really good time, and I hope you enjoyed the glitch exhibition and the run. Anything you want to say, Doka?
No, I think I'm just about good.
Yeah, thank you both of you for coming on tonight and showcasing this wonderful game. Just a reminder for everyone, SGDQ 2020 Online is next Sunday. So August 16th to the 23rd, we'll be having a week-long speedrun event online. So be sure to check that out. And also, we just want to thank everyone for sticking around, tuning into the show, and sticking through the ad breaks. We're going to have another ad break before we go into a raid tonight. And we will see everyone for tomorrow's show, Runners Wanted, at 2 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to be checking out some games with some smaller communities. You know, maybe try to grow those communities a bit and see if anyone out there is interested in running some of those games. So with that, that was Testing Grounds, and have a good night, everyone.